On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will honor the contributions of James Earl Jones to the Star Wars franchise by remembering some of Darth Vader's most memorable scenes and quotes. The list could go for days, but hopefully these two gasbags keep it short and sweet to honor Mr. Jones's expert-level contributions to that faraway galaxy. Of course, they'll end the show with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now, everybody, welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. I'm trying not to shoot myself out of a cannon today because, it's an odd week for many reasons, both in the Star Wars pop culture universe, my own universe. So I'm going to do my best to bring you the goofy and sometimes too many swear word having guy that you've gotten to know over these past few years on Tuesdays or Wednesday evenings. Yes, if you're a podcast only, we do these live Wednesday, 5 p or close as we can get on that EST, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But just in addition to the passing of James Earl Jones, we speak his name. I just some real life stuff has just kind of hit me like a sack of bricks this week. Very unexpected event happened in the extended family, and I'll be heading out to Philadelphia tomorrow. So, like I said, I'm here. I'm prepared to have some Star Wars fun with my man Nick. And, of course, our fandos in the live stream chat. We love them all. We got Bat there today. Mike Kramer stopped in. Johnny Osage. Of course, League is in there. Nova with his green 4-month banner. We love you. Rory Schmidt. They're all here. They're all ready. Divided. Showing up right there at the end of the roll call. So, welcome. But, like I said, I'm going to try my best to put that smile on and act like the Star Wars goofball that you all have come to know and love or hate. As I explained to Nick, we, over the past 2 weeks, not even talking about the Acolyte, we've lost a member, like a paying member. They're gone. And then we've lost about 3 subs. So, I mean, who knows what we ruffled or didn't ruffle, but we're here, we're dedicated to you, and we love our fans. So much so, Nick, we are going to lead with kind of a new fan segment to Ask Us Anything. We kind of kick off the show with this, and it's usually the regular cast of individuals asking the question. We did get a few new ones, so that's exciting. We got some fun ones this week. We typically post the Ask Us Anything on Instagram, and I even think some people are post them in our Discord, which is wide open. So. Yeah. So have at it. Yeah, sorry about that, B-Matt. I saw you pop that in before we went live. We love you, brother, and definitely rest in peace. I don't know, Nick, are you a rest in power guy? I know that's kind of become a thing. I don't know if that's like from the alpha male wing of the universe or what, but
I think the first time that I heard that used was actually when Chadwick Boseman died.
Okay, all right.
But I don't, I mean, I personally don't say it, but I also don't say rest in peace. I just kind of, I'll throw out the RIP if I'm typing it. But yeah, it's, I don't know what verbiage I typically use around death or anything. Yeah,
listen, death of any kind is just, it's not natural to me. I've been trying to get help on this to make me a slightly more of a human emotion wise and going what I'm going through in real life. I've definitely shed some tears, but I still feel awkward about it all. And when it comes to the death of celebrity, this might sound a bit callous, but I definitely am not that affected. I mean, I tip my hat and I remember what they provided, but in the end, they're just a fucking, person on TV or in books or on the stage that I appreciated. I didn't know them personally, so I'm not really going to get that upset like some fans seem to. I think the only celeb that is going to really fuck me up when they pass is going to be Howard Stern. And that's just because this is a guy I've literally listened to since I was 15 years old, and I'm 44 now.
Yeah.
And so that's just been a voice, I don't want to say guiding my life, but kind of at like the soundtrack of my life, like a male role model, if you will, since I was 15, because I didn't necessarily have the best one at home. So, but that's going to be one that's going to fuck me up. And hey, listen, it's sad James passed. I feel bad for his family, but the guy was in his mid 90s. I mean, he lived a good life. We got to celebrate it more than get upset. So
yeah.
But we'll get there. I mean, we pivoted. Nick talked me into it. I usually, once I have things set, graphics are out, audio's been cut, I'm like, fuck it, we're sticking to it. But he was right. We needed to pivot this week. So we were actually going to do the most important Star Wars characters. We have a list. Nick and I are going to kind of cut in half, and we're essentially going to stump for them next week and hopefully tier them out in order of importance to hopefully find the most important Star Wars character to either both of us or each of us. So we once we heard of the passing of Mr. Jones, we were like, you know what, let's put the spotlight on that. Let's remember him through his character and his work on Darth Vader. So that's our meat today. After we get through a lot of our random topics, we are going to spend some time going over 10 of what we consider to be Vader's best moments that also have some good quotes, but also 5 quotes that we kind of settled on. And damn, Nick, it was tough because there's so many fucking quotes. I mean, we could have made this show 4 hours long. It could have been 30 moments and 50 quotes. So bear with us on that one. But we're gonna have some fun celebrating Mr. Jones through the Dark Lord of the Sith. But before we get there, like I said, we got to get to some of these questions, my man. So let's get things switched up here. Get on over to the question section and see what they had to say.
There we go.
All right.
Let's take a look.
First up, Mando Pirate. Still not here in the stream. We miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
But asking Nick and Nick only, what is your career?
I'm a marketing professional. I'm a marketing and paid advertising professional.
Right. And he's done this both as an entrepreneur and as a well, these days I'm guessing a WFHer, but were you ever in a cube land doing this?
Yeah. I think for like my first 2 real marketing jobs were both like in office, not like, I mean, I think by the time like in Austin too, like by the time that I had like moved to Austin and started my career, like the cubicle life was over, but like I worked from a WeWork. I worked
that's like, cutting edge. That's millennial.
Yeah, it was very millennial. And this was WeWork when they still had like the free beers, and they still had like, you know, you could go out into the shared common area and you could get free snacks and stuff. So this was before they started to take all that away. So worked in a WeWork with a very small startup. Actually, throughout my career, I've worked in a lot of startups.
Oh, yeah.
I've worked for a lot of startups.
Sadly, none of the ones that went on to be billion-dollar mega companies, but he's trying.
No. I mean, what really kicked off my career in marketing was when I worked for Facebook.
Yeah,
that was my first job.
We liked when he worked for Facebook because somehow he would work the system. Money. Yeah, he'd work the system where he'd add us, you know, on Facebook or IG or whatever, and it did quite all right. So there you go, Mando Pirate. He is an ad guy. He should be living on, what is that? You should be in Manhattan, right?
Yeah. Actually, the new company that I'm about to start for, their home office is in New York City.
Oh, big surprise! All right, nice job. Okay. Up next, coming from our boy Johnny Osage. As a hot toy collector, do you feel they're becoming Hasbro with the variant releases? I think this one's for me, Nick, unless you started buying the toys.
I think that's yours.
It's funny he asked because my man Anakin, AOTC Anakin, literally just showed up before the show started. So he's up there in his little box hanging out. And Johnny, I can kind of see where you're going. I still don't think it's as chintzy as what Hasbro has done with all their re-releases and repackages, but it does feel these days that we have like 900 Vaders and 55 Obi-Wan Kenobis and this, that, and the other thing. So I'm trying to cut down on that. I kind of have to at this point in time just for budgetary reasons. But I think collecting overall, I'm like I've said a few times this over the past few years, I think I'm rolling out of the sickness I had throughout my 30s. So hopefully I start selling some of this shit, because I still have hundreds and hundreds of Black Series just laying around like they're piles of shit. All right, yeah. Do we need another Kenobi? I don't know, but I'm glad they fixed his face and I did not cancel my pre-order. We're talking about, Nick, there was a big, just if you'll indulge us collectors for a second.
Go for it.
There was a big kerfuffle about the Kenobi figure from the Kenobi series, you know, when it was first teased a few years back. Face just, it wasn't there. I was like, you know what? I'm still going to do it because I'm a crackhead. I already have Reva, the Grand Inquisitor, Vader. You got to complete the wave. So I got him, and just this week they're like, "Oh yeah, just kidding. We fixed his busted ass grill." So
we're gonna resell it.
Well, no, a lot of people are now lamenting the fact that they canceled their pre-order, and I did not. Gotcha. So I have mine, and I'll sell you the head for $500.
Held on. There you go.
That's right. Hodl. Everything's hodl in my life, bro. To my detriment, but we still hodl. Yeah, Johnny, I'm pretty sure that face replaces the initial shitbag face that they had in the preview shots. So, ha, ha, ha. Okay, this is a new one. Imperial Bravo. I like when we get some fresh blood here. Favorite quote from Star Wars? Good question for this week. I mean, I know our brains are kind of geared towards Vader, but what say you?
This is really hard, right? Like my favorite quote from Star Wars, it's probably "May the Force be with you always." Like it was such a, like just the original line from Obi-Wan Kenobi, end of episode 4. Like in terms of my most like used quotes, like that's definitely up there. Like "May the Force be with you, may the Force be with you always." And then also one of my most used ones is a Vader line. Actually, it was the most impressive during the fight at Bespin.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Yeah, but I think like just off the top of my head, to not like sit on it for too long, it's probably one of those two, just considering how much I like use them in my real life.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Like I hate to rob our own thunder, because I am going to force Nick and I to, once we kind of get through our list, to actually settle on our personal favorite quotes and moments for Darth Vader, because we're not doing a tier board, we're not even ranking, we're just celebrating the big guy. But at the end, we're gun to head, we're going to have to pick favorite quote, favorite moment. I know Imperial's not asking for Vader, but Vader seems to be one of the most quoted motherfuckers from Star Wars. I think scruffy looking nerf herder is a great one. Mm-hmm. Get this walking carpet out of my way. I mean, Leia's right there behind her dad in terms of quote. But just because Vader's so ingratiated right now because of James passing, I've said a lot, and I don't know if it's because of an old bank I used to have, or I used to do it with Charlie when she was little, but I'm a huge fan of "Indeed you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen." So, and we'll be talking about that scene, because I think a lot of people don't necessarily appreciate that Endor exchange as much as I do, or kind of understand what was happening there. But and we'll talk about it. I think that's one of the most beautiful, if you will, Darth Vader scenes in Star Wars, when his son, he's more or less lamenting to his son that he is fucked. And as much as he may believe Luke and want to trust Luke, he is hooked to that dark side heroin. And he knows he has no choice but to do what his master bids. So there you go, Imperial. All right, hold on. Be Mad coming in, always throwing around that cash. So you know how we are. If you got the cash, we will bump you to the front of the line. Be Mad asking, I want to get in collecting toy statues. Matt, do you have any recommendation for someone not ready to spend too much but want to get into it? Oh, shit, man. I mean,
the not spend too much is the hard part, right?
It's like, listen, Black Series, if you can find them, they are quality figures, but even those now are up, $30, $35 for a 12-inch or a 6-inch fig. I'm always going to say you can't go wrong with Hot Toys, but you're looking anywhere from $200 to $450 for those. I don't necessarily like well, I should like statues because you don't have to fucking pose them. They're already posed and looking cool, but they too are pricey. So it really comes down to, do you want like studio quality? It looks like the creative department worked on this. Then you're going statues, busts, Hot Toys. If you just want to look at something and be reminded of your love and joy of Star Wars, you're probably still better served down there with the Hasbro stuff. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Back to our submitted questions. Abigail Sky, what was your favorite and least favorite job that you had? I like that. Go ahead, Nick. Start.
Gosh, that's so hard. I mean, I'm a person that like, a job's a job, and I don't really like any of them. Like I literally like, I work for money, and like, if you like, I'm not going to come to a job and be that I'm not your cheerleader. I'm not your, like, I enjoy working with people. I enjoy conversations had in specific jobs everywhere that I have worked. But I'm not like a, if you want a company cheerleader, it ain't me. Like,
yeah, fuck companies. They're not people.
I mean,
they're not people.
We have a mutual working relationship, a literal contracted working relationship.
And they should be taxed more than regular people.
I definitely agree with that as well. If I had to pick a favorite, I mean, my favorite job was probably when I was a teenager and I was working at the movie rental store. That was like probably that was my first legally paid job, because it was me and a bunch of my friends that worked there. So it was like me and 2 or 3 of my best friends. We all worked there. Like we would work shifts together. Like we could get all the movies that we wanted for free. So like anytime a new release came out, we got it. Yeah, like we got to see the new release movies early before they hit the shelves. Like every day before we left, if there was something that we wanted to watch, we could just take it home and bring it back, like no charge. It was a really fun job. It was a really fun job.
All right.
After that, it's just like when you and Matt can attest to this, like when you move into like the more of like a corporate work structure, everything just kind of feels the same. Like, it's, you're doing your job.
Cog in the wheel, brother.
Yeah. So
making a lot of money for one person at the top that doesn't do much but bark orders.
Yeah.
And supposedly has visions. This is what I want. You guys go do it all. Thank you. Give me 50 million.
Yeah.
My name's Bob Iger.
So that was probably my favorite job, just because it was like, it wasn't as much of a job as it was just like a fun
hangout, getting paid for. All right.
Yeah. And then my least favorite job, I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of aspects of a lot of different jobs that I've had that I haven't liked. I would say that my least favorite job, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it was when I was a kid, and like doing summer jobs and stuff like that before I could like actually have a work permit. I worked at a t-shirt printing place, and
so you probably have cancer because you were a kid and they probably put you on the press, no mask, you're inhaling all the fumes.
Yes, definitely working with like a manual press, like making screen printed t-shirts, like pulling them off the dryer. And
you
stuff
are in
like
the plastic capital of the world where you grew up.
Yeah. So I mean, the job itself wasn't that bad and the people there were cool, but it was just like I worked in a sweatshop. Like it was an unair conditioned garage during the middle of summer in Louisiana. So like you just like you get there and you're just sweating your ass off the whole day. You're covered in ink and shit like that. It was, yeah.
All right. So, I'll keep mine short and sweet. Least favorite job, pretty easy. It was senior year going into freshman year of college. I just got canned from doing maintenance and tours at the Olentangy Indian caverns throughout high school. So I gave cavern tours and cut their grass. Got canned there and needed some Skrilla before leaving for college. So I took a job at an auction barn. And I was essentially a human backhoe. I just moved antiques all day long, out of people's houses, up and down steps, in streets, in city streets and alleys, and then I had to set them up, so I was working weekends for the auctions. It sucked. It was just pure manual labor. Favorite job, this is a tough one because it was more of a jobby, even though I did generate revenue. But the 10 years I ran a kind of a gaming focused website that opened up a lot of opportunities and got me into the video game media, that was exciting. But like I said, I couldn't really sustain a living off of it. So was it truly a job? Probably not. So I do love teaching. It doesn't quite scratch my ego because I've always felt like I should be in charge of a lot of shit and this some important person, just like my Star Wars narcissism. But yeah, there you go. So my corporate job was with Kroger in both their manufacturing plants and retail. And I was a year in the retail. I was like, you know what? I need to do something with my life. So that's when I was at 30 and shifted over to what I do now. I create content that a few people look at, and I've been a professor now for fucking 15 years. Divided asked me what I teach. I'm in the computer science field, so I do a lot of HTML, cybersecurity, and then the capstones, if people know what those are, kind of the final touch point with the students.
Projects.
Yeah.
Okay,
I like it. I love the shit that's not Star Wars related. All right, Tiger Lily 8118. Coffee drinkers? If yes, what's your go-to order? I have not had caffeine in over 20 years. There's a reason for that. I almost broke my heart because of taking ECA stacks all day long as a teen and young 20 guy when I like to mess around with my body like an idiot. So I've not had an ounce or milligram, if you will, of caffeine in over 20 years. And not being able to drink coffee sucks. Not being able to drink brown pop sucks. If I was still drinking coffee, Tiger Lily, I usually just went black with a little bit of sugar.
There you go. I do drink coffee. I usually drink like 1 cup a day.
Bastard.
But the thing is I don't order I don't go to Starbucks. I don't go to coffee bars and stuff. I just make my coffee. Yeah, I just make my coffee at home. But Taylor, my girlfriend, did get me a really nice coffee maker for my birthday. It's like this one. They call them a super automatic coffee machine. So you can like load it up with beans. It grinds the beans and then it has like, you can do espresso and drip coffee.
Ooh,
there's a built-in.
Can you make
frothers.
the little designs in it? Can you like frappuccino the shit?
So you can make like lattes and cappuccinos with it too, because it has like a milk frother.
By next week, I want you to be able to draw Darth Vader's face in the top of your coffee mug. All right?
Yeah. But yeah, so like I typically don't order, like I haven't been to Starbucks and I don't know how long. Definitely not for coffee. And probably the last time I went, I just got like a little croissant or something. Yeah,
man. Like I said, I'm glad I'm not addicted to caffeine. Like Bat's saying down here, I only have one of his formula that I need, but I'm kind of glad caffeine is not so, because I see everyone my age and even younger than me and how reliant they are on the shit to even start moving in the morning. And I do miss the taste of coffee. I do miss the taste of brown. Like I would love a fucking Pepsi right now. Like, I'd be licking the shit. I just dump it all over my body and like rub it around, lick it off my nipples. But ain't gonna happen because caffeine and me are not good. Like I would look like I was tweaking. I would not be able to sit here. Like I'd be like, I'd feel my heart palpitating. So good question. Next one. Oh, another new one here. Jago Robbins. What do you think Cara Dune's role would have been in S3 if Gina wasn't fired? I saw this one, and I honestly think it still would have been slightly diminished because if she wasn't fired, she would have been off in that new Rangers of the Republic series, kind of doing her thing. So because season 3 was so Mandalorian retaking Mandalore focus, at best, he would have talked to her kind of like he checked in with Tiva.
Yeah, I think that, I agree with that. It was definitely the plan to have like the Rangers of the New Republic kind of spinoff and like have her be a part of that a lot. And I think like from speculation or from like what we had talked about previously, it was probably going to be Cara Dune,
Fennec,
and then probably Carl Weathers, like Grief Cargo was going to be involved with them.
I mean, really, Nick, they kind of had the team formed in Mando S2E8 when they go to rescue Grogu. I mean, it was Bo, Fennec. What's her name there? Yeah, she was there too. Casca. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Casca.
Casca was there. Yep. So it was like, I really think the Rangers would have been female centric with Kara kind of running that, and then possibly Tiva stuck in there and maybe another name. So I don't think it really mattered. I mean, what we don't know is how much they needed to pivot from 2 to season 3. Did John always want to tell this story of retaking Mandalore? If that's the case, then I still don't think she would have had a huge role. If it would have went to season 4, where now Din is essentially going to become a Ranger of the New Republic, I think she would have had a much heavier presence in season 4 if that was how this series continued instead of going into the silver screen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not sure where she would have ended up, but definitely, like, her heavy part would be Rangers.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Scion XTC, was John Hammond wrong for creating Jurassic Park?
This is a good ethical question. Was he wrong for pursuing the science? I will say no. I don't think he was wrong for pursuing the science, because I think that there is benefit in genuine, like, scientific research and efforts that don't result in, or like that don't partake in, like, anything that is, like, harmful to the people that are undertaking the research, right? Like, or like doing human testing and stuff like that. So I think that, like, pursuing the research and following it through once you've had a breakthrough, I think that there was no problem with it. I think that the problem with Jurassic Park lied in the fact that they didn't have proper measures to cover the disaster that happened.
Yeah, you had shady people. I mean, the thing is, humans fuck everything up, right? I mean, John's idea, like Nick said, science, yeah, let's do it. Even for the park aspect, let's fucking do it. We just can't have pieces of greedy shit screwing everything up. So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, humans. So we can't ever have nice things. So poor John's experiment would never work here in the real world. But he was not wrong. All right, Baron's Black Series. Trimmed it down this week. Just one from the Baron family here. Which species of alien would be the scariest to find hiding in your closet at night as a kid? He didn't specify Star Wars, Nick, so I think it's wide open here.
It's Xenomorph, then. If it's not Star Wars, it's a Xenomorph.
That's exactly what I just thought. I'm like, you know what? He didn't say Star Wars. I'm going Xeno, but now that I just highlighted that, Nick's probably going to take Xeno.
Yeah, I mean, like, even before you read the question and I read it, I was like, it's a Xenomorph for sure, because he didn't say Star Wars. If it's a Star Wars alien, I don't know. It's probably one of the creature aliens, right? It's probably like a Reek or an Acklay.
Yeah, a Rancor. You open that up and you just have a big mouth eat you out of your closet. Yeah. I mean, listen, Xenos, they're the scariest motherfuckers out there. I mean, again, should I have been watching Alien and Aliens before I was 10? Probably not, but it definitely left an impression on me, and I had to sleep with a nightlight till I was about 11 years old because of that type of shit. So there is no scarier alien than the alien, the Xenomorph. Every form of it, too. I mean, everything. Yeah. From the face huggers to the larva that's in your gut, to the full-on, Xeno. My God, what a beautiful thing. Make sure you check out Alien Romulus. It is solid. So there you go, Spencer. I mean, if you want Star Wars 1, I think we're going Rancor. Otherwise, Xenos kind of rule that roost. I mean, a Predator would be kind of intimidating, too, if you opened that and it had its mask off, just sitting there flexing his teeth. But, yeah. Hey, look at that. Beyond the Dunes Sea. Who we got in here? Connor dropping by. Really enjoying this chat and learning a little more about you guys. Much love to the SWTS. We love you too, brother. I know they're having a big an Ask Me Anything, as Connor put. I'm assuming that's an AUA, kind of like we do. So make sure to tune into them, because I think they're going live this Friday over on Beyond the Dunes Sea YouTube. Give them a shout. Look at this. I love it. They're fighting in here, but we will address you guys. We'll sit here all day and answer personal questions if that's what you like. So Be Mad again, coming through strong. Last question from me. If there's a game from your childhood that you could get a perfect remaster, what would it be? 4K graphics, gameplay, etc.
I mean, we've been teased it for so long, right? It's probably KOTOR. Like if I go back to my childhood,
I can't even consider that my childhood, buddy. I was in my 20s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Okay, so what's a childhood cutoff? Because I played that game for the first time when I was probably 16. Like, when did KOTOR come out? No, it was before I was.
Well, I mean, I guess if we get technical, you're technically a teen by the time you're 13.
Yeah,
but you're still not an adult, so I guess you're a child until you're 18.
So it came out in 2003. So 2003, I was 15. Yeah, so. But okay, so if we go back, we'll just say like childhood. Like for me, a lot of them have already been remade. Like a lot, well, I wouldn't say remade,
No shit.
But all of the old Nintendo games that I would play as a kid, like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Bros. 3, like Kirby's Adventures and stuff like that, they've already had like their like new iterations that are like updated with that style of graphics and stuff like that. Here's one. And it was NFL Blitz, and when I was a kid,
that
me
game
and my
was
cousin,
fun, man.
Dude, it was
all
so
the like
fun.
NBA Jam, any of those midway like arcade four station arcade games were the shit.
Yeah, like a new version of NFL Blitz with the same level of like crazy ridiculousness in the tackles and like all that
man,
crap.
You like run up and fucking jump pile drive people to tackle them.
Yeah, and dude, like you could literally, it was hilarious. Like you could hit somebody and they would do like double backflips.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Maybe that one.
Well, even
dude.
like, I mean, dude, I know Madden still exists, but like the classic Madden, Genesis Madden, when someone would get hurt, they'd lay on the field, and, like blood would come out of their head. Then the ambulance would drive on the field, run over all the blood.
Yeah.
Oh my god. NHL
so
93, same shit, like those 16-bit games. But listen, man, I am an 8-bit gamer. That's when I was a child, so I don't want any of those fucking games remade because they were a pain in the ass. They were very difficult, no saves, no continues. And honestly, I've kind of gotten the one, and that's Final Fantasy VII. And
yeah, I would say 7 is a good one.
I know like what they've been doing with Rebirth is the most recent entry, and it isn't necessarily a 1-for-1 remake, but it's pretty fucking close, and it's definitely, the 4K, it's all modernized. They're keeping the general flow, the story, and the locations. So I guess I've kind of already gotten that. Be Mad.
There you go.
Yeah, and Twitch like a Bats of my generation. He remembers all like, dude, Madden and NHL 93. Like you check someone, their leg would be up by their head, and they're just sitting there like having a fucking seizure. Oh man, good stuff, everyone. We love you. All right, moving on. What we got here? Michael Kramer. Does Disney have the rights to use James Earl Jones' voice as AI? You know what? They actually do. I'm pretty sure he signed up on this for the Kenobi series. Like this is already a done deal.
Yeah, I do think that was addressed then. But I will say that like I would prefer that they not do that, and that there are some incredible voice actors that can replicate his intonation, his sound, and his like vocal tone very well. And I would prefer them to do that. That's actually what they did in Rogue One. Like I don't think that Rogue One was James.
No, it is. It was, and that's
is.
why I honestly, and I hate to say this, but I do feel like in Rogue One he was slightly diminished. He didn't quite have that baritone punch that we were used to, and we left that. Like I honestly, as cool as it is to see Vader choke people out, I honestly think that's one of the cheesiest Vader quotes and moments. The scene with Krennic. Like, don't choke on your... Vader is not a pun guy, okay? Vader ain't dropping dad jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that ain't on the list. Don't worry about that.
But yeah, I would say stray away from the AI, even though they're not going to, because it's just cheaper.
It's free. I mean, dude, we could probably do it right now. Like, just find an LLM and say, hey, sound like this guy.
But also, like, you can just download a voice. Like, they've had voice changers that make you sound like Vader for years, and now they're just getting better. But I would hire an actor.
It's definitely going AI. And while we're on this tangent here, did you see just this week, Nick? I don't think it's
lawsuit.
Peter Cushing's. No, not Cushing.
Yeah, that was right.
Yeah, Cushing.
Peter Cushing's. It was a different.
It's not his family, but it's like a film archive or something. They're suing Disney because they used or images that they had of Cushing to recreate Tarkin in Rogue One. I'm not sure why it's taken this many years to launch the lawsuit, but here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and this is what we're going to start to get into a lot now, and this is why I've tried to say, like, we need to move away from the Skywalker saga, because James is dead now. The only two people from the OT left really are Harrison and Mark.
Yeah.
Like, that's the last two. And I mean, yeah, I know that the actor who plays Wedge Antilles is still alive, and there are other Billy Dee's still alive too.
Star Wars proper, all right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I would consider Billy Dee in there as well. So those three are still alive, but those three are very old. I mean, Harrison's in his 80s, Billy's in his 80s, Mark, I think, is on the cusp of his 80s.
Mark, honestly, is probably going to get assassinated from the far right. So
it's just, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but we need to be okay with the fact that we can't live in this era forever and continue to use Peter Cushing, his likeness was used for Rogue One. And while it was cool and stuff, we really need to start forging roads into other areas where we don't need to really rely on CGI recreations of these OT characters anymore.
It's easy, Nick. You can do it. They can do it. Just make sure there's no people of color and that a female is not in charge. And then people will embrace it. Speaking of all that nonsense, holy hell, and I'm not getting into this, but just go research the Twitter war this week between Theory and Star Wars Explained. It's essentially good Star Wars YouTube, people like us that don't just hate Star Wars to make money, and then the hate grifters out there. It is wild shit that these people get into. I summarized it in our Discord. I'm not going to do it here. You can go check it out. We got free access down there in this video's description if you want to join up and read about that drama. But my goodness, that Theory guy, he needs some help. He is an angry young man that needs some assistance. Okay, Nick, I think we got one more here. We got one more coming from Tones, and this one is going to be me in particular, because Tones fuck it, Matt. I know you talked about Outlaws last week, but now that both of us have had more time, let's get to it. I mean, he essentially is he's 28 hours in, he's on Tatooine, and he's fucking loving it. He loves just driving around, going in the photo mode, hanging out, living in the universe, loving the story. And he's like, hey man, give me an update on your take. And here it is. I am going to change my tune a bit. I am enjoying it more than I thought, even more than I was last week. Last week I was in the 7.5. I was kind of bitching about a lot of the Force stealth, but now that I've kind of gotten into the rhythm of it and kind of see how to work the missions and kind of, they make the path so clear to do stealth if you just have an ounce of patience, Nick. So I learned to do that, and yeah, it is. I think I'm 15 hours. I've only completed one other main mission, and that was to get the safecracker, who's a fantastic character. This Ankh character, I'm not going to go into it, but she's something else, and she's on Kijimi, so that was kind of neat to explore Kijimi from Tross, where they found what's her name, Zori Bliss. You get a whole new faction there with the Shiga clan. But yeah, man, I'm kind of with a lot of people. If you got past the week one noise with all the haters out there, oh, she's ugly, why is it a girl? And yes, the early access launch issues were ugly as fuck. But I think if you honestly give yourself some time with this game and just live in the world. I mean, this is a game, Nick, you could literally just turn on and be like, I want to hang out in Star Wars today. And Outlaws will give that to you. You can get lost for an hour or two. Just fucking. I've become a huge fan of Sabacc. I think Sabacc is awesome. I want to finally use my real world Sabacc deck because of this game. Because, dude, there are times like if it's late at night and I want to play, but I don't really want to get mixed up in stealth or, getting pissed off. You know what? Hey, there's a Sabacc table. I'm gonna go try to make a few credits or maybe get a treasure by beating a high roller. So it really is, man. I mean, this is the game we've all talked about. We all wanted open world Star Wars, and I think it checks damn near every box. And hopefully I don't fatigue myself on all the extracurriculars like I do sometimes. But this is a game I could see myself doing 50 to 60 hours over the next few months. It is.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, the music is there, the world is there. You can just walk around, like I said, Nick, just walk around towns. You listen to the denizens. They're having like real world talk based on what has happened in the game. It's fantastic. So yeah, awesome. I think I can bump Outlaws up to a solid 8 out of 10 at this point in time.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I will, like I said before, I will play it when it comes to Steam. So
yeah, no, listen, I'm not saying go out and buy this, but this is definitely not a waste of anyone's time if you truly enjoy Star Wars and don't just think you do. All right. Well, there we go. Good little Ask Us Anything there. Let's go ahead and get back on track. Back to the topics at hand. We do a little pop culture real quick before we get into our Star Wars. In this one, Nick actually gets to participate. You know me, I am a movie buff. Sadly, I'm going to miss the movie this week. I was going to go see the new Bautista. I love Bautista, and he's in there with that, man, she is so pretty. The girl from Rebel Moon. Her name is escaping me right now, but she is, I know League, if she's in here, she'll know because she's got the hots for it too. But my goodness, is she something else. But no movie this week, so no pop culture stuff next week. But we did both go see Beetlejuice, I will not say it again, last week in theaters, and it's really, really good. I mean, it's Beetlejuice, and he's actually kind of a main character this time. I think a lot of people forget in Beetlejuice 1, he might be in it for like 15 total minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But he is like a main thread in this movie. Nick, I'd argue this movie is actually telling two stories. We got like the Beetlejuice story, and then we got the Dietzes and all the stuff going on there with Lydia, again played expertly by Winona, like kind of like a Tom Cruise, but even more so, she's tapped into something that keeps her forever young. She literally just looks like a slightly taller version of Lydia from the original.
Yeah.
Even Catherine O'Hara was fucking amazing. Like,
she killed it,
dude,
man.
Delia's annoying as fuck in the first one. Like, she is funny but annoying. Delia is amazing in the sequel. She's just so damn good. I don't know the backstory behind why the dad wasn't allowed to be brought in.
He is a sex offender. Okay,
well that makes sense with how they handled his character. Then it was pretty. I looked at Charlie. I'm like, this guy must have done something really bad. The way they had to kind of shoehorn him in, so you're not completely destroying the canon of the universe. But my goodness, yeah, man, I really liked it. Keaton always never disappoints. Like I said, Jen Ortega was great. I already said Winona and Catherine were amazing. I found Justin Theroux's character to be oddly entertaining. Oh God, dude,
it was so entertaining, but it was just like, it was the person that you just have to pull against the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh God, this fucking guy.
You hate the guy, but you appreciate the performance.
Yeah, exactly.
I do feel like Monica Bellucci in that thread was kind of shortchanged a bit. That was just like a plot convenience thing, like to kind of drive Beetlejuice's side of the story. But overall, I think it was a successful sequel, a slight little twist in there that you may or may not have saw coming. So it's well worth going to check out, especially this time of year. I'm actually surprised they didn't wait for closer to Halloween.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was Taylor's thought as well. Is like, I can't believe they're releasing it now and not closer to Halloween. But it was super fun to watch. We saw it in 4DX. So we had the moving seats, and we had the smoke effects, and we had the flashing light effects and the water effects and everything like that. And it was, honestly, if you can go see a movie in 4DX, it's such a fun experience. And I know
unless
for
it's
us,
Twisters, where you're literally just rattling for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, apparently that one was rough. We did not see that in 4DX. But for us, like, Taylor cannot sit in a movie theater for 2 hours and just watch a movie. Like, she gets fidgety. So, and she knows this. She's like, man, you know what? This 4DX really makes it better for me because it's more entertaining.
She needs to be
like,
on a roller coaster to watch a movie.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it just feels like, and they do such a good job of not making the effects feel like they're forced in. Like, it feels like a natural part of the film. It was great. It was great. It was a great movie. I think we might even go see it again in theaters. It was just such a fun, authentic sequel that you could tell Burton was doing, not because he was going to get a lot of money for it, but because, like, he really cared about the characters and the story, and he really, like, wanted to bring the same energy from the first movie into the second one.
It was well intact. Like, it felt like a true successor, and it made a good chunk of change. So, you know, kudos to them.
It made a lot of money already.
I always like when movies these days can actually cash in at the box office. I think this only cost like 80 mil. It was less than 100 to make. And Nick, would it do like 130?
I think it did 140.
Yeah,
just
in the
like,
States.
Just Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Like,
so
yeah,
that's encouraging. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you like the first one. If you're an old guy like myself, or a, you know, slightly older, younger guy like Nick, you'll dig it. You notice they even, outside of, like, the glaring, like, rotoscoping in the original, even in the Land of the Dead, they didn't really even try to make it look that much better. Like, the worms still kind of look like fucking claymation shitbag worms.
I love that too.
Yeah,
it's like I did not want them to really make too many changes.
No,
there.
I mean, like you said, I mean, they kept a lot of stuff very practical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Awesome movie.
Well, there you go. Now it's time to move into some Star Wars time, if you don't mind, my friends. And before we get into our Vader breakdown, we do want to recognize just the man behind the voice first. Because, you know, I mean, James Earl Jones was not just Darth Vader's voice. I mean, this guy, if you don't know, he's a fucking EGOT guy. If you don't know what the EGOT is, that's Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. So pretty much any major award for a performer, this guy has taken in, and for good reason. I mean, I know a lot of us, we're younger, so we are only kind of used to him as Mufasa, or what was it, Moonlight? Is it Moonlight Graham that he plays in Field of Dreams?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, obviously Star Wars. I mean, if you're a little older, you probably remember him from Conan. He's in the Conan movie with Arnold. But I mean, his first film was Kubrick's Doctor Strangelove. So I mean, he's been at it for, you know, over 50 years. I mean, the guy had a long life, a great life. But that voice, we all know. I mean, it's sad that a lot of us just know him for his voice, Mufasa or Vader, because the guy is just a brilliant orator, a great stage performer. And I know some of you, like, they're even younger than me, probably Nick, like, the Mufasa connection with James may even be more emotional than the Vader connection.
Yeah. I think, you know, if I really think back on my exposure to James Earl Jones, the first time was definitely through Lion King as Mufasa. And, like, when you're that age, you don't know, like, people's names or actors' names or anything
like that. But that voice
is
just so iconic.
It was. And for those of you who are interested in the film, like the new Mufasa movie coming out that tells the origin story of Mufasa and Scar and stuff like that, I believe that is his last role ever.
I would think so, because they're already putting out trailers, so all the VO's probably done.
Yeah, so and you know, part of that movie takes place when they're younger, but then the part when Mufasa is like a mature lion is still voiced by James. But yeah, I mean, my first exposure to him was through Mufasa and Lion King, and really the first time that I saw him as an actor was in Sandlot, as Bat said. Like, Sandlot was like just a movie that I rewatched over and over again in my childhood, and to this day is still one of my, like, favorite films from that time period. And he played, you know, that character. I think Bat said his name was Ben, but like Yeah, he was on the 1923 Yankees, like, or he was this incredible baseball legend that he played there that had gone blind, and even though he was only in that movie for a short period of time, like probably 5 minutes at most, like it was a very impactful time to like learn about the history of baseball through this incredible acting performance by James. And then, like you mentioned, like the roles go on and on from there. I mean, from Conan to, he was in Black Panther. He is truly a legend of filmmaking. And, while Darth Vader is probably what most people know him from, like you can go through and watch a lot of stuff where he's just absolutely an incredible force and presence.
The King and Coming to America.
Yeah, Coming to America. Like that was another one that I just remembered last night as I was sitting down. I was like, oh yeah, man, he was in Coming to America too. Like,
he liked to have fun with his rep too. Because listen, I'm only coming into the Big Bang Theory universe because of Young Sheldon. I'm kind of doing it backwards, but my God, is it fun? But apparently he did a great guest spot on that show. And Carrie Fisher was in it too, and they kind of play on the fact that anytime a fan would see him, they just wanted to, talk about Star Wars. And he's like, I was in more than Star Wars. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, but I like Star Wars too. It was a pretty fun thing. He definitely got that. A lot of his extended fame, a lot of the fans coming up to him were probably coming up to him because of the I Am Your Father stuff, the impressive, most impressive, and the guy that he voiced that, we all love to adore over here on the SWTS.
Indeed. So yeah, it's tough to like think about that. Cause this got me thinking about like when with James passed now, it's like, it really did trigger that thing in my head. It was like, well, who's left? And that's when we come back to, it's really just Billy, Mark, and Harrison left.
Well, he was the final piece of our OT Darth Vader alive. We lost Shaw, David, Sebastian, and then it was James. Those were the three men that brought him to life over the original trilogy. So like you said, man, they're up there now. They're up there with Kenny, Peter, Carrie, and the rest of the core gang that has moved on. Alec is up there, Peter. Mm-hmm. Man, we getting old, and the people that were older than us when we were young, they're getting dead. And, that's the fact of life, and it sucks. But that's what we're all here for. That's why humans cooked up religion to kind of deal with this type of stuff, because it's hard to stomach. When you got to think, like, you don't want to go through life not appreciating anyone or loving anyone, but when you commit those feelings to someone that at some point in time, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt to kind of reason with losing them. So, rest in peace, Mr. Jones. I'll always remember you as the voice of my guy, Darth Vader, but obviously from Field of Dreams, another one that stands out to me with fathers and sons in baseball. But just from what we knew, Nick, I mean, who knows what he's doing behind closed doors, but from what we knew, seemed like an all-around swell guy. And I believe only one of 11 EGOT winners. So, I mean, the dude's got some skills. Yeah.
Amazing actor all around. So, but yeah, I mean, I think today is obviously like we're going to take some time to honor his legacy through Darth Vader. And really what we tried to do is like some of the moments may not be from when James was like actively portraying him or like, during the OT, I'll say that. But like all of the quotes that we picked are spoken by James, from James, straight from his mouth. So
we did not. I know he did a little work in Rebels, and there was a great scene there with Ahsoka, but we mostly stuck to the films. And the order you will see, at least when we get to the moments, is release order. So we go OT to Rogue One to the Kenobi series.
Indeed.
All right, well, that's a nice little segue there, Nick. So, yeah, like you said, we're going to sit here and honor Mr. Jones by just, reminiscing over first some of his more memorable quotes. I'm sure you all will disagree with the ones we picked, but don't worry. We also picked some moments that stand out for both having iconic quotes, but also usually moments that have kind of burned themselves into our minds. Real quick, and I hate to do this because it's a complete tangent, fuck. Did you catch up on Rings?
I did. I've only seen the first 3 episodes.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I know that the new ones are out, but the last one I saw was
it's only 4. I believe 5 comes today.
Yeah, but I have not seen.
Here's all I'll say. This season is smoking season 1. Episode 3 kind of sucks, and I think I've realized that what I didn't like from season 1 is still what I don't like in season 2. The Numenorian storyline is garbage.
It's taking a long time.
It's garbage.
Like the Numenorian story is really kind of dragging, and I was hoping that we were going to move that forward a little bit quicker. Now, I mean, like the fall of Numenor is coming, so I assume that storyline is going to start getting better quickly, especially now.
Like this shit with who should be the queen or Farzai, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah,
it's like,
but yeah,
he's the one that ultimately lets Sauron manipulate him, right?
Well, I mean, I think that we're already past that point, because that was when like Halbrand Sauron was there and he was having conversations with Farazan. So now that,
but at least, like, correct me if I'm wrong, at least book canon, Sauron ends up going there after he gets kicked out of Middle Earth for the second time.
Yeah,
and he becomes an advisor to the kings of men and poisons them that way.
Yeah, so he does make his way back there, and that's when they start getting into Melkor worship and everything kind of starts falling apart.
And then it just fucking sinks because they try to attack the gods from the island, right? And then they're just like, all right, eat shit.
Yeah, okay. So I think it'll start picking up.
He may show back up, like not as I like how they call him Anatar, and it's Anatar. In this, not Anatar. Who the fuck knows? I'm sure they're saying it right, because I always called Eregion Aragion, so I guess I'm learning myself how to speak in Tolkien's.
Tolkien pronunciation has always been it's hard to get right, like unless it's being spoken by J.R.R. or I guess Chris, themselves, and they're both past now. It's really hard to figure out how this shit's supposed to be said sometimes. But yeah, I mean the Elven storyline with the forging of the rings and Anatar
that's been well done. I think that's been well handled.
That's been fantastic.
I kind of like what they're doing with Galadriel now that she has, which ring is hers? Ildris. I forget. I used to know all this shit. I'm a loser.
It's the one that starts with.
Is it Enya? Right? Does she have Venya or?
I think it was.
All right, let's get back on topic. I'm way off here. Track and Lou, he wasn't Darth Vader. He only did the voice. No, Hayden Christensen was barely Darth Vader. I mean, he was Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith, and that's about it at the very end, standing on the bridge. And then, if you're taking that approach, tracking Lou, David Prowse was Darth Vader.
Yeah, David Prowse was the original Darth Vader in the suit. Yeah. And he definitely spent more time in that suit than any of the actors to come after.
I mean, it's not even close. But there's a reason they used James. Just go look at those clips of David delivering the lines. It would not have worked.
Yeah, they're actively on the internet. Check them out. All right. Nenya was her ring. Neny.
But I liked how they showed. I don't know if that's really. I think in the books they just directly took them. I don't think it was like this big hustle bustle. Let's try to get rid of them like they showed in the show.
No, yeah, I mean, from what I can remember, there wasn't the action around it. But I understand why they did that, because a lot of the attitude that Elrond takes in episode 3 around the rings really mirrors what you see in the films.
Yeah, there's already memes where it's literally the new Elrond saying, get rid of the rings, and it shows Hugo Weaving's Elrond, burn the rings! Yeah, so I do understand that, but I liked how they showed how Celebrimbor, Círdan got his. Like he was even too weak to say no, and Gil-galad. I mean, whatever. We'll move on.
Yeah.
I think season 2 is going well. I'm not sure why people are upset because they have black elves or Asian elves. Like that just proves the point everyone's trying to make. You people are kind of missing the mark here.
I saw some post. So it was like, if you're upset that there are people of color in a show that has dragons, elves, or lightsabers, you have completely lost.
Well, I feel bad because the guy is the black elf warrior's name. Is it Brondir? Is he Brondil?
I think it's
Either way, this poor man on social media is now jumping in and trying to like fight the trolls. I'm just like, dude, like,
just block and move on.
I mean, come on,
block and move on. Like that's the way that you handle it now. There's no point in trying
it's useless. Like these people just they're on different planets. I can assure you that. Just like I said, research the theory explain drama right now, and you're gonna be like, what?
Yeah. Arondir, you were close.
Okay,
Arondir.
There you go. I'm getting old, Nick. I mean, I did read an article last week that at 44 and 60, the human body ages it the most. And guess who just hit 44? So by this time next year, I'm going to have no teeth, saggy tits, and belly flab that hangs like crepe skin. All right, here we go, man. Let's get back to it. James Earl Jones, we're going to honor the dude through a retrospective on Darth Vader, starting with 5 interesting quotes, standout quotes. You've heard them. You may love them. You may hate them. You may think some are better, but guess what? It's our show, and this is what we picked. No order here, but when we get through the quotes, I am going to make Nick pick his favorite, even if it's not on this list. But up first, like I said, we got the quotes coming. And let me read the full one. We just have no disintegrations on here, but, this is the one where Vader, being Vader, just brings a bunch of scum and villainy onto the bridge of his ship. All his officers are like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, look at his dirtbag. And he dresses them down. There will be a substantial reward for the one who finds a Millennium Falcon. You are free to use any methods necessary, but I want them alive. And then right to Boba Fett. And again, this is still one of the reasons Boba Fett even has street cred and why this quote is up there. No disintegrations.
Yeah, it was the way he delivered the line, right? It was
He's like, I know you slap dick.
Yeah. No disintegrations. Like like you said, he picks out Boba Fett specifically, points at him, and the way he delivers just the no disintegrations line is it's just like it sears into your brain the first time you hear it. And it's like, man, that was just like 2 words delivered perfectly.
And like I say, Nick, I mean, without the special editions, I believe this is our first intro to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So you see the guy, you see his armor, you see that Darth Vader, hired him and then specifically says to him, I know what you do, dude. Not this time. It instantly made Boba Fett an amplified bounty hunter. We were all like, oh shit, Darth Vader has to specifically address this dude who, by the way, also looks pretty fucking cool in that helmet. So yeah, I mean, it's a great quote, the no disintegrations, but it's also a great Vader moment because through Vader's power, through the love of Vader by the fans, we all instantly are like, all right, yeah, Boba Fett's cool.
Yeah, respect. Okay, got it. This guy's a badass. But yeah, I mean, this one's so fun. It's like he's just addressed, like you said, the way that he's addressing the whole crowd. I mean, it was just such a... And it shows you like the depths that the Empire would go to for Han Solo.
That's the thing. It wasn't even the Empire. It's the depths Vader would go to.
Yeah. It's like, look, dude, I am willing to hire bounty hunters to come in and fucking like do this for me because like it is that important to me that these people get handled.
Well, isn't it? I believe Piet is looking at another officer going like, what the fuck are they doing here? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Why do we need them? We're the Empire.
They come up from the front of the bridge and they stop at like that pit area right where all of where Piet and the other officers are, and he's like, it's like a look of disgust from him. He's like, oh,
what is this guy doing with these schlubs? Yeah. So great stuff, but no disintegrations definitely stands out as a quote. All right. Another quote we found to be quite memorable. And this is one I know I used to repeat a lot. It comes into play sometimes, but maybe if you run into an old friend or an adversary. But we're talking about the full quote here. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Fucking always love that line. It's a very simple line, but as someone watching it for the first time, it lays down the history between these two. We didn't need the Kenobi series. I'm glad we got it, but we didn't need it because of this line right here.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly where I was going to go with this line, was that this is the first time that you really get any sort of backstory on Vader, and really until, midway through, like until the "I am your father" or, "No, I am your father" line from ESB, that's really all you know about Vader. It's like, oh, these two used to be like, they were master and apprentice, and they have a history together, and like, yeah, you get Obi-Wan's point of view in the beginning.
Yeah, remember, he doesn't even make it clear that he trained Vader. He trained Anakin. Vader killed Anakin.
Yeah, exactly. Like from Obi-Wan's point of view, speech to Luke in the beginning, like you have no idea that there was a connection between Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's the first time it's established. So a lot in a very short line, and really builds intrigue throughout the rest of the films, because you're like, okay, well, if he's associated with this guy and this guy was this famous Jedi, then like, what's going on here? So
yeah, it's like the scene itself. We poke fun at it these days because it was really the first ever lightsaber duel. And it looked like that. It was very slow, very methodical. Before the special editions and the Blu-rays, the actual reflecting foil would not hit the light, and you'd actually see them with the fencing sticks. And it wasn't very action. It wasn't very intense. But it was the dialogue between the two. It was the dance between Vader and Obi-Wan, and the barbs they were exchanging, and it really fleshed out their relationship to us. Which, like Nick said, we didn't have a background. I mean, if you were an OT person, there was no background. There was no prequel. You didn't know anything outside what the characters were telling you. And as we learned, our narrators weren't necessarily always telling the exact truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good stuff there. And it really, this scene, what makes it even better, the quote in particular, is a scene prior to it when he's in the docking bay and he stops dead in his tracks and he goes, "This is a presence I haven't sent since." And he's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah,
he's here. Yeah, so. Mm-hmm. All right, next quote here. Want to hit the first, right? Probably his first classic quote. This is coming from A New Hope. On the in one of the hallways of the Tantive 4 after he has taken over Princess Leia's shuttle, and she's feeding her bullshit, and he's had enough of it, right, Nick? And he just goes and he does like the dad point, not even knowing that it's his kid, and he says, "You know what? You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away."
Just like, it was such like the way. It's one of the first lines you ever hear from him, right? Like, there's a little bit of dialogue from him before that, but like, that's the line that really, like, you're like, man, this guy, he holds sway. He is very powerful. Like, he's in a position to just dispatch of this senator like it is no issue. And it really does kind of set the tone for who this character is.
No nonsense, right? He's like, "No, I ain't taking your bullshit. Get out of my face."
Yeah, and it's like, and honestly, like, Vader does not speak angrily often. Like, he doesn't raise his voice.
That is a very good point. This, honestly, Nick, this is probably the most off-centered he is. Yeah. In all three films.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's the only line that I can really remember him like yelling, like actually like putting
I think you're
specific emphasis on.
And here's the wild thing, if we can play this game. Now that we know what happens in Rogue One and how he kind of gets foiled there, you can understand why he's kind of at his wit's end with these fucking rebels on this ship.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, enough's enough, motherfuckers. I've already blown up your whole damn fleet, followed you through hyperspace, boarded your ship, killed all your people. I'm done with this shit. I need a break.
Yeah. Like, just like at his wit's end. and yeah, I mean, I didn't even really like, I wonder if that was talked about in those meetings when Tony and,
like,
the rest of the crew
why is Darth
over there,
Vader so pissed when he literally just kicked their ass?
And then Tony's like, "Who's Darth Vader? I don't even know who this character is." So
I'm Lord Gilroy.
But it is like if you go through even the newer stuff from Vader, he really doesn't yell, and this is the first time. I guess the no was a
way
yell.
to ruin it, Johnny.
way to
Fuck.
go, Johnny. But yeah, I mean, like this was the one that was a powerful line delivered in a powerful way.
Yeah,
So
again, like Johnny said, it was essentially a go to your room moment there between estranged father and daughter. But I really love that you made that point, and you are correct. That was the most emotional this guy got, literally. Even as his son is beating him into a pulp, nothing. As he kills his former master, nothing. Outside that stupid fucking no they crammed in, but man, great stuff there. What a line. That really is, man. He was so pissed off. Poor Vader. That was a long day if you think about it. He had to jump the Scarif. Literally, he was like a shield wall. The fucking ship's hitting his ship. Had to take out a bunch of rebels. Missed the Tantive 4. Found it anyways. Had to take them all out. And he's just like, you know what? Enough's enough. Enough's enough.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I'm a person too.
Yeah, it's like
I need a goddamn break. I haven't even had lunch yet.
I just got off the phone with the Emperor, and he's pissed, and now I'm gonna have to deal with this.
Exactly. He's up my ass. Like, I can never do anything right. You fucking idiots. Goddamn rebels. So great moment there from Vader, and again, expertly delivered from James Earl Jones. Mm-hmm. And you gotta think about like James's job. We can sit there, that'd be easy. That couldn't have been easy. Trying to dub a live performance, because you have to match the emotion of the physical performance.
Yeah, I mean, ask anybody who does like video game voiceover, ask anybody who does like animated stuff voiceover. Like even, I mean, this is probably something that Pedro struggles with as well. Is like you're the voice and the body is not your own. So like you're trying to like match the emotion in the physical presence of the person that's on screen, but you're not that person. So I'm sure that I wonder if Pedro has ever like looked at some behind the scenes footage from James and the work that he was doing.
It is interesting to watch these people work. And I knowing James, he probably was as cool, calm as it gets. He probably didn't do any physical movements. He just knew how to do it. But like Nick's saying, if you watch some of these people, they may bring props to help them get into the character, but they'll be moving around at their easels or whatever they got the script on. You know, they're contorting their face and making faces. And you know, if you're in the comedy and you listen to people that do impersonations, it's kind of a thing. You almost have to contort yourself physically to become that character or that person you are impersonating. So kudos here. Great line delivery. Take her away. Next quote here, and this I found a great image. I love this shot. It must be a behind-the-scenes shot, but we're talking. It's a very short and sweet, but it's an iconic Vader line delivery. Apology accepted, Captain Nita, as he's laying on the ground, dying and choking. Remember, this is poor Nita's like, you know what? I'm gonna go do the manly thing. I'm going to go ahead and apologize to Vader for losing the Falcon again. I got this. Don't worry. I can handle him. And sure enough, Vader accepted it with his life.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was one of the moments where you're like, oh, like killing somebody is nothing to this guy. Yeah. Like, you know, we saw the entrance.
There was an earlier one where he kills Ozzel because he comes out of hyperspace too soon.
Yeah, and he kills that guy over Zoom.
Over comms. He's like, all right, fuck it. You're not even worth being in the same room.
Yeah, it's like not even the same room. But yeah, it's just like the lack of respect for life, even of like a high-ranking official within the Empire. Like this dude's just like, yeah, I'll accept your apology, and squeezes the life out of him and everything like that. It's
just an Imperial captain. They're a dime a dozen.
Yeah, no problem at all. And it's like, and again, like it almost reinforces what we were talking about with the take her away line. It's like there's no anger, there's no emotion.
It's almost monotone. He's just like, hey, all right, well, I just took care of that appointment on my calendar. What's next?
Yeah,
you know? It's like okay, all right, meeting over. Good meeting, Nita. We'll see you later, or not. I'll tell you what, though, if you're on the live stream and you can see this image, it's a black and white version. Vader standing tall. That's a fucking poster, man. I love that shot of Vader. That's just such a Vader-esque looking shot. He's doing the belt hold, right? The iconic both hands in his belt or thumbs in his belt, just looking at his handiwork. I really do like that image.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And I think our last quote coming up, obviously the big one here. It's the one most people are familiar with. And as Nick has brought up in the past, it's the one that is most fucked up by humans.
Yeah.
And it is, "No, I am your father." It's not, Luke, I am your, it's no. Because remember, Luke says, "But Obi-Wan, you killed my father." And he goes, "No, I am your father."
Yeah, "I am your father." I mean, like it's the most iconic line. If you ever had a box fan or something like that, you went behind the box fan and you set it into the box fan.
It's in so many TV shows, so many movies. I mean, this is probably, if we're talking from a general population Star Wars quote use, this is number one. It's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, this may be the most quoted movie line ever.
Yeah.
Like straight, like I'm talking of any movie of all time. Like
it's up there. I don't know. Us younger guys, what about Baby Ruth?
I mean, maybe.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys is definitely one. Hey, you guys is up there for sure. But this one, I feel like no matter who you are,
dude, 100%.
No matter how old you are, you say this line, and it is, and it's like in terms of the impact, in terms of like the character impact, and also the impact on like cinematic history. Like this line was, I mean, you could argue one of the most controversial lines ever spoken at that time in movies. Like this. People were upset. People were angry. People were this may have been the first time where there was a fan uprising against Star Wars, right? Like people were angry that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. Like there was a huge uproar about it. And
thank God the internet didn't exist in a commercial form back then.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, we may have never gotten anything after this if that was the
George
case.
would have hung himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, and it's such a huge turning
point.
point.
The chopper. You are right, Pat. That's up there too from the 80s for sure, dude.
Yeah, yep. I've definitely said that a lot. But like the impact not only on the character that it's spoken to, Luke Skywalker, but also on the character that is from Vader. Like it is the admission to himself. Yeah. That he is still Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. Like, I don't think that a lot of people understand
that's
that.
Deep shit, Nick, and that's why we keep you employed. You take us deep into the emotional side of Star Wars, but that's a very astute point. Like this is Vader reasoning that he is a split personality.
Yeah, like, you know, the line that is spoken in Kenobi, like, I killed Anakin Skywalker, like clearly the evolution of the character over time, like that's a 20-year gap, probably, or around 20-year gap that line in Kenobi was spoken until the ESB line is spoken. Like you can see that like he has now identified like this is truly my son, and he is my son because I am still Anakin Skywalker,
I am a
even
Skywalker.
though it may be, you know, it may be deep down, like, and from that moment on, like the demeanor of Vader changes. Like Vader prior to this, like through the end of A New Hope and even the beginning of ESB, is like he is an emotionless machine.
Yeah, he's the tip of the spear. He's the Vader's. Yeah. He's the, you know, I know he's not technically the Emperor's fist, but that's all he was. I mean, he was a battering ram for the Emperor to use on the galaxy.
Just like a machine of destruction. And after this line is spoken, like through the end of this movie, like communication with his son, like we can be together and we can rule this galaxy together. Like his demeanor changes in a way that's like, I'm no longer doing this for purely destructive reasons. Like I now have a living part of me that's in front of me that I want to be with, that I want to save.
I want to use them so we can kill the Emperor and rule the galaxy. But you know, he still he wanted to bond with his son, and he's just kind of a fucked up way.
And like this line directly comes into that elevator conversation in ROTJ where he's like, I know what you basically what he's telling Luke is like, I know what you want from me, but I can't do it. I'm too broken.
Yeah.
I'm
on that dark side crack, and you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't quit cold turkey. But I really love that point. This is the moment Vader changes, even though he doesn't want to admit it to himself. But this is the moment that allows Luke to finally get to him in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And if you've read the comics, I know they started strong and now they're shit. They're so shit. I literally canceled my subscription with the last issue to come. I'm just like, I don't care.
I can't do it.
The whole impetus of Vader's stories throughout all these different random shits they've put him through in between Empire and Return of the Jedi is his focus on finding Luke Skywalker. Like he's obsessed with it. Obsessed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Nick. So that's the end of the quotes. Gun the head. Favorite one.
My favorite one.
We probably should stick to the ones we listed just to.
Yeah, for sure. Of these 5, I mean, I really do think that my favorite line is the man. It's between I am your father and you're part of a rebel alliance and a traitor take her away. And it's both lines spoken to his progeny, to his kids.
Another good point.
And it's I think for me it's still no, I am your father. I think that the impact on that the first time you see it is unforgettable. It's hard to really quantify how knowing that line just kind of changes the way that you interact in some circumstances in your real life, because you'll just say it it'll just come out. In like random
it's like
ways.
one of our code words. I mean, you can Stern fans have it, Star Wars fans have it. You all have a secret language that if you throw out the right buzzwords, someone might look at you and be like, "All right, you're in my tribe."
Yeah, it's like you're one of us. Like I think it has to be the "No, I am your father" line.
All right.
It's just. It's a resonating thing throughout all.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I mean, there's going to be some probably in the moments that are a little more near and dear to my Star Wars soul. But out of the list we just went through, I'm going with "The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master." Just his arrogance, his cockiness, and the fact that it did kind of paint a little bit of a picture of the relationship between these two juggernauts for the first time. Yeah,
that's a fantastic.
Here's a good one from Bat. Who has more GIF-worthy lines, Vader or Kenobi?
I think it's Vader. I think that the Kenobi GIF-worthy lines really started
in really.
Yeah, it's like "hello there" in both the OT and the prequel version.
That's pretty much. Like, I'm trying to think what other Kenobi lines are. It's literally "hello there."
Yeah.
"Hello there."
So uncivilized is probably one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
When he tosses, but you don't see that. That's a good line, and I think that I have seen GIFs of it, but that's not as widely spread as other stuff. But yeah, he doesn't really. I don't think that there are as many for Kenobi.
Yeah. So there you go, Bat. We're going. I think Vader wins that battle again. Mm-hmm. So now it's time to cover some moments. We got 10 of them in here. And like I said, we're following release order. So we're going to go through A New Hope, Rogue One to Kenobi. It got a little tough. We had to whack a Kenobi one. The one we did whack was the final duel. Even though that's an iconic Vader moment, it does kind of feel like that's Hayden's. Hayden's Vader.
And it's also like that final duel where he gets beat down by Kenobi almost feels like more of a Kenobi moment. Like that's Kenobi's moment.
Yeah, I mean, Vader has his moment, sinks him in the hole. We think we got it. He's got the high ground, but then, Kenobi sucks it up and pulls out the miracle. I mean, of course, it's a classic quote. You didn't kill Anakin, I did. But that's Hayden delivering that stuff. So we kind of use that to. Even though we do have some Kenobi moments, but it's Vader. All right, okay. Hey there, Sir Dork. What's going on there, brother? Look at that new profile pic. He just got his 100,000 sub plaque.
I saw that. That's amazing. Right? congratulations, truly. I mean, we've been plugging away at the YouTube machine for years, and I mean, the fact that Jared hit 100K subs on YouTube is actually we got super.
We got 2% of that. We're killing it.
There we go. We're climbing up there.
Best part is this motherfucker even had his YouTube taken away from him, and he still.
Yeah.
Just goes to show you we ain't quite the draw. We don't quite have the content to bring in the masses, but hey, I think we've come to grips with that, and we do what we do.
Yeah.
Look at all the awesome people in here, man. I mean, they're coming in. We got B-Mad showering us with change. Connor from Beyond the Dune Sea was enjoying it so much he threw us a tenner. If I wasn't going to do one of the worst things human have to do this week, I'd probably tune in Friday night, but I'm going to be dealing with some real life, so I'll be missing BTDS. But don't forget, check them out. They're going live this Friday over on @Beyond the Dune Sea. All right, let's go ahead and Jared, I mean, this dude, he's cranking out videos all week long. I mean, I hope soon that this guy is just making his living off of YouTube and toy photography, so kudos again.
Deserved.
Jared, I
definitely
have not forgot though. Because of this achievement, you're supposed to send me a gift. Remember that? We worked this deal out. This is how the Star Wars Time Show is. We go in there, I get in there, I'm like, all right, he's happy. Let me ask him for something. He knows what I'm talking about. I'll leave the secret with him, but I love that guy. Jared is the dude. Our first ever non-Nick co-host. We will never forget his contributions to the early workings of the Star Wars Time Show.
That's right.
All right, let's get into these moments, man. Starting with our first ever introduction, the Tantive 4 entrance. I mean, come on. We first see the white guys in armor come through, and we're like, wow, ooh, pew, 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 wow. And then the dun, dun, dun. He just like barrels over. He comes in, and you just go, whoa, fuck. If I thought those white guys were cool looking, look at this dude.
Yeah, look at this guy. Look at this guy. I mean, for me, it was the first step into Star Wars.
It's the best introduction of a villain of all time, right? I mean, he just
ever
barrels in.
Ever.
Oh, look at this guy.
Thank you.
I am such a beggar. I'm such
Jared.
a beggar. We love you, Jared. I really am a dirtbag. I can't help myself sometimes, you know. I still got a little of that gaming media in me where you got to network and try to work your connections. I can't help it, Jared. I'm sorry, man.
Oh man.
I suck.
That's funny.
Oh, I should go to hell.
We appreciate it.
But anyways, man, yeah, it's just like even just look at this still and the fact that George had in his mind the contrast that Vader would make in this scene. Everything's white. Yeah. Everything is white, but Vader. Mm-hmm. He's just like this black hole in this hallway of the Tantive 4, and he did no action, right? He's not fighting anyone. He did that previously over at Scarif in their orbit, and he just kind of barrels in and he's looking at his handiwork. He's like, all right, there's some dead bodies. Let me step over that asshole. All right, bring me the goddamn senator, the princess, that whiny shithead. He gets mad at her, and then eventually he chokes out Antilles, and all in a day's work.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like he comes right in, and then you see him like fully with a grown adult lifted off of the ground. Like this dude, he doesn't have him propped up against the wall or anything. Like he has a full adult in his hand off of the ground, just choking him to death. And it's like you're just like, what? Like what is going?
Yeah.
Like who is this person?
You literally cut into the scene, and he's executing a guy.
Yeah, and it's like, holy shit. It's the strongest open that you could have for a villain like Darth Vader.
It really
and it
sets the tone.
Yeah, it does. It sets the tone. And then right after that is you have that line, like you're a part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor, take her away. Like just like the callousness that he comes in with, and like he does not care who is in front of him. Like he is going to get the information that he needs. And if you're not willing to give it to him, he will dispatch you summarily. Like he does not care who you are.
I mean, bro,
what your
Leia was a
is.
Senator. Like
yeah.
she comes up like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing? This is a diplomatic mission to Alderaan." He's like, "Shut the fuck up!
Yeah, it's like
enough of your shit. You're all rebels."
Yeah, and then just throws her in prison in his ship. Like, you have an active member of the Senate that is just that you have
and
now
a royal
imprisoned.
member of Alderaan.
Of Alderaan. Yeah, like, just no big deal.
He's like, okay.
Whatever.
And again, now that we have the backstory, you can kind of understand why his fuse was a little short at this point. He's like, we just stopped a goddamn rebel incursion at a major Imperial installation. I had to chase you assholes a few more parsecs. Enough is enough. You're no diplomatic mission. You're no fucking senator. You're a rebel and a traitor.
Yeah.
Love this guy. All right. Fantastic intro. Best ever for a villain. Up next, this is just, again, A New Hope. It did such a good job at layering in moments to show us that Darth Vader is a guy not to be fucked with. So we're talking about, in particular, when he finds Admiral Moti's lack of faith a bit disturbing. And, he chokes him out. We got this great line right before he chokes him out. Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant to the power of the Force. I found your lack of faith disturbing. So,
yeah. That's another one that I say a lot, that I used to say a lot too. I find your lack of faith disturbing. That's another just like crazy good line.
He's in a meeting with, fellow leaders of the Empire. He's not seated. He's just hovering and hawking over everyone to be intimidating. You can clearly see Tarkin is not scared of Vader, which is why he's S tier. But this guy, this Moti, popping off like a little cocksucker, and Vader's like, oh, really? Oh, you don't think the Force? You think some hokey ass bullshit? Okay. And it's not till Tarkin says, hey, man, come on. Enough's enough. Like, I think he got the point. He lets go. But it like we said here, it's classic Vader. With just lifting his hand, he shuts up a hater. And through that whole line, again, to the audience learning about all this stuff, what's a Vader? What's the Force? What the fuck? And he lays it out there. He's like, listen, this thing can blow up a planet, but that ain't shit to what I can do.
Yeah. I mean, it really... This is the scene that lays out his philosophy, right? Like you get the introduction to Vader.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, it's like, like these are the people that, like, Tantive 4, these were the bad guys. Like, these are the guys that Vader's chasing after. These are the guys that he's working with every day. And he's like, you want to talk some shit to me? I'll kill you too. I don't care. I do not care. But it does it, like, it lays out where his philosophy is. His philosophy is that, like, you want to spend all this money, you want to talk about this ship that you're on. Guess what I did with the Force? Yeah. Guess what I did? Guess what me and the Emperor did with the Force? We took down.
Might have taken over the galaxy.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can blow up ships and you can do all this other bullshit, but guess what really got us to where we are now? It was our, hokey religion, as you call it. It was, just fantastic.
It's a good scene, but it's also, for us people, us OTers, how could you not sit there and be like, well, fuck, man, Tarkin must be the guy. If Tarkin can get this dude to stop killing that dude, he's got some sway over the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, I mean that was also like, yeah, I mean, it was the perfect moment to be like, okay, well, if this guy says stop and this guy stops, then is that how the chain goes?
I mean, it's like all right, well, I guess Leia wasn't wrong. He really is kind of on Tarkin's leash. So, but still an iconic Vader moment. Comes with a great line, and like Nick said, a nice little quote there, finding people's lacks of faith disturbing. All right. Next moment here. And you know what? I kind of, we were waffling on this one. Should we scrap this for another Kenobi moment? But we did decide to keep it because it just shows the badassery, the badassness of Darth Vader. And we're talking about Vader's Cloud City surprise. In particular, the dude laid out a nice dinner for his friends Han Solo and his rebel buddies, Leia, Chewie, and the droid, right? So it's just, it was the first time is like, as a fan, you're like, what? Okay, how did Vader get here? So you're like, oh, hey, cunning motherfucker. Why did he set a dinner spread for the rebels to catch them? And if people want to shoot him, all he has to do is lift up his hand and he can stop laser bolts and then take their gun. It was just very like nonchalant. I'm Darth Vader. My dick's bigger than yours, Han.
Yeah, it was such a fun moment to watch too, because he's just like you said, the level of nonchalantness.
Hey guys, welcome to dinner.
Like, happy to see you.
Yeah, fancy to see you guys here. Take a seat.
Yeah, have a seat. It was one of those moments where it's like, okay, like this dude is not just like a hulking badass guy, but he also like he'll fuck around with you. Like he knows how to have a little bit of fun with his food when he knows that he's got the checkmate. And it just like the door opens, you see both of them, the immediate reaction from Han firing
fantastic.
the gun, and then like the immediate reaction back to just be like, oh, you're gonna shoot at me, well, boom, boom, and now I have your gun, so like now let's have a conversation, right? Like,
yeah, we would be honored if you join us, like Sir Dork is saying. But that is a great point, and why you gotta love Han. Han is shoot first, ask questions later. All the time. That's why he always shot first, will always shoot first. So go McClunky yourself, everybody. But yeah, you got to love that. As soon as he sees bad guy, without hesitation, he's like, bah, 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 let me fucking shoot everybody.
Yeah, like there was no surprise. There was no moment of hesitation.
Nope.
It was like gun out.
Okay, this is bad. Like that guy's bad. Me shoot fast.
Yeah. But dude, I loved it too, and in the fact that like it was just like Lando leading them into a trap the whole time, and he's like, I had no choice.
They got here just before you arrived.
Yeah.
Man, I love this guy, and there's this little boba behind him, the bozo version of the character.
There he is.
All right, next moment here, a huge one, okay? And we'll spend a little bit on here because this also has some really good quotes that we wanted to shine the spotlight on. But in general, we're talking about the Cloud City duel, which is just really highlighted, accentuated by Vader's just casual smack talk to his son. I mean, the scene is very iconic. It leads to the "No, I am your father" moment. We already touched on that. So we're mostly talking about their first encounter. Kind of squaring off against each other in the carbon freezing chamber, and in Luke's overconfidence, and Vader just how he takes advantage of that and just kind of toys with him and fucks with him, and we get the great line in there: "The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet." And then, like Nick said, one of his favorites, when Luke does save himself from being frozen and jumps up into the rafters, you get the impressive, most impressive. So not only were we getting just great looking Star Wars cinematography, a nice little ballet between father and son, but you could see in how Vader was acting and taunting and talking shit to Luke, just how disproportionate their skills were at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see the skill gap, but also what I want to bring up about this fight in particular is that like everybody remembers like the "No, I am your father," and like Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, like the line that precedes it. But he starts picking at him about Obi-Wan now. He's like, Obi-Wan's trained you well, but like he starts to like pick at Luke's perception of Obi-Wan early, and then he brings it back in that moment right before the "No, I am your father" line to be like, this guy that has been training you and been building you up,
he's lying to you too,
and all of this, like he comes back to him and he hits him. When he hits him with the "No, I am your father," not only does it like shake Luke's perception of his whole life, but it shakes his perception of Obi-Wan, because it's like this guy that's trained you, this guy that's like built you up and helped you in your moment of need and in the trench run on the Death Star. Like this guy's been lying to you the whole fucking time.
Well, hey Nick, doesn't Luke, once Lando rescues him, doesn't he kind of speak out like, "Why, Ben? Why didn't you tell me?"
Yeah, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
Like that was his, like even when Vader is trying to talk to him, when Vader is reaching out to him in the Force, like he fights back against it by just like reaching out to Obi-Wan, like, why didn't you tell me? Like
And the best part is in Jedi, Yoda gaslights him. He's like, well, if you didn't rush off like we told you to, we could have slowly informed you what you were about to learn.
We could have had a conversation about this, but yeah, I mean, like he literally uses Obi-Wan against him, and it's like it starts in this earlier phase of the fight, and it goes to show you like he's not only toying with Luke physically, because he is this whole fight, this whole fight, like he's just fucking around.
This fight is the epitome of Darth Vader and how he goes about his business. Like this is how he wants to duel other Force users.
And then it's the mental manipulation. Like he's mentally manipulating Luke this whole time. Like even the impressive,
sucking his confidence
line,
down, right? He's just sitting there chipping away at his self-esteem.
Yeah, and it's like it gets to a point to where like you're like before he gets blown out onto the walkway, like Vader just puts his lightsaber down and it's like, dude, I'm gonna beat you without even me physically moving.
Steady.
Like,
that is one of the most player moves in all Star Wars. You're right. After they go through that hallway and Luke's just wildly swinging his lightsaber, and Vader's like, "Hey, fuck, this is no fun anymore. We'll just use the Force now."
Yeah,
puts it down like Nick said, just tilts the blade down, and here comes a bunch of random debris knocking Luke out the window.
Yeah, it was a complete and utter beat down mentally, physically, every way that you could possibly have it, and it's just
it was a cat and their prey. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. He just was beating him around like a little fake mouse. So great stuff there. But like I said, awesome lines too when he goads him about Kenobi, and then even gives him a little credit. And even said, "You know what, son? You are impressive. You do impress me a little bit. I thought I had you beat, but you somehow jumped up there and saved your ass."
Yeah.
All right, next one. And this one really, if you really think about it and you parse in everything that leads into it and then what happens after it, I do think this is one of the most iconic Vader scenes in the original trilogy in Vaderdom. It's really, Nick, we're talking about what I call Vader laments his fate on Endor when Luke turns himself in. And to me, Nick, and chime in if you think I'm off base here, but I really thought this was the first time as fans, and probably even Luke, that we almost got to see Vader as a human. You know, like he actually had a heart-to-heart with his son at this base on Endor as Luke gave him his lightsaber. And there was some amazing quotes and just kind of exposition that comes from this scene. You know, Luke is trying his damnedest to talk about redemption and convince his dad that, like, no, listen, man, I know there's good in you. I know I can get Anakin back. And this leads to one of my favorite lines, "Indeed you are powerful, as the Emperor has foreseen," when he lights Luke's saber, the saber Luke built himself. And then he goes into, Luke's like, "Listen, man, I know I can help you. I know there's still good in you." And that's where he's like, "Obi-Wan once thought as you did. You don't know the power of the dark side." And it ends with a very, very sad line where you can tell, like, Vader knows, like, he knows Luke is right, but he's like, "It is too late for me, son."
Yeah. Like,
damn, I mean, some heavy shit in Star Wars. Especially for me, the reason I have such an attachment to Vader and Luke, and obviously this movie, is my own father and the contentious relationship we had. And I think through therapy, I'm realizing why I draw to this so much, because I, like Luke, was trying to make my dad good. And like Vader, he wasn't having any of it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just that moment of self-realization as Vader, and really, like, that whole conversation, like, Anakin Skywalker is like scratching at the surface.
100%.
And really, like,
he's kind of he's driving a little bit for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, and like that moment, like that line that you said, like, it is heartbreaking because you realize, and it, like, over 2.5, like 2 3/4 movies, like, you look at this guy as like as a pure terror, and like even in his conversations with Luke, you're like, he's just manipulating him to try to pull him. But that line at the end of that conversation, you're like, oh, there's a human in there.
Yeah,
there's a person.
He was hearing what Luke was saying. He was just telling Luke, like, listen, man, when he says you don't know the power of the dark side, that's like a heroin user saying you don't know the power of heroin. It's just
it's like
they can't see through it. Like, it's such a strong drug and addiction. They're just like, that. I have no hope. No one can help me.
Like, you read that line, like, you don't know the power of the dark side, because he says it different times. Like, he says that multiple times. And in this moment, like, before, he's like, you don't know the power of the dark side.
And then I think he says, I must serve my master. I was like, I must do what my master says, something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, this time, it's like, no, you don't. It's like, he's trying to tell Luke with the same line that he used on him before, like, no, you really don't know the power, how hard it is to pull yourself away from it once you're in it. Like, I want to, like, it's almost like him saying, like, you don't know how much I want to just throw this
100%.
away and walk out of this room with you, but you don't know the hold that is on me. And that it's just,
what this scene does, and I know obviously it came before a lot of these comics that are about to end that cover the period in between Empire and Jedi here, but in the comics they start to show this, like, he's always having this internal conflict between his past and who he is now, and he's always having flashbacks of Anakin and who Anakin was, and it does, like Nick said, it always felt like Anakin has always been trying to climb out of an inescapable canyon. He's just in this hole and he can't get out because of the dark side, and this is like the realization of all those thoughts he's been having since he realized that Luke was his son. He's finally like, listen, man, Luke, I hear you, brother. I hear you, my son. But you gotta understand, I have no hope. There is no hope for me.
Yeah,
I've given up so much to the dark side. I've compromised myself so much. It's too late. It's too late. You can't save me.
Yeah.
And again, that speaks to the character of Luke, because he's like, well, okay, we'll see. We'll see, Dad.
Like,
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff there. Although this scene has been turned into a pretty funny meme, right? It's when they go into the elevator and they're looking at each other, and it is one beer, and then it cuts to when Luke is dragging his dying dad to the shuttle, and it looks like they're all fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the internet is good for a few things these days.
Indeed.
Okay, and next moment here. Sticking with Return of the Jedi, and listen, it's the entire duel in the throne room. Obviously, the big standout moment is Vader's save, but I really think this scene it stands out the most, Nick, after he recites the line to Luke, "If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will," and that's what finally pushes Luke to kind of dip into the dark side and ultimately beat his father. But it's also the line, if you think about it, that finally snaps Vader out of his shit. Like, once he pisses his son off so bad by threatening to fuck with Leia, and Luke is able to just absolutely dominate him and mutilate him and put him down like a dying dog. That's when he's finally started, like, oh shit, well, fuck, look at this guy. He could have killed me like I would have done as Anakin, and he didn't. He's keeping me alive, and he's saying he's a Jedi like I used to be. And oh fuck, now my boss is killing him. What the hell am I doing here? What's wrong with me? No. Yeah. Okay, there we go.
I mean, that whole scene, and like, before the re-edits, like, I've never seen, and like, maybe there are some instances of it in video games, but I've never really seen on screen before emotion at the level that it was conveyed through a mask when Luke is being electrocuted by
That's
Palpatine.
Why it was so good without that fucking no. You nailed it, man. I've said that before. It's like you could actually see how upset Anakin was, and his face didn't move.
Yeah, and it's like you see this beaten person, not only physically, but just
he's
mentally.
a dog.
Like,
I mean, what does he do? He limps right back to Palpatine. Like, oh, I lost.
Yeah, like it's just you see this fractured human being who has become a shell of what they were supposed to be or what they could have been. And then that moment, the ultimate moment where like he just breaks, like after decades of abuse, after decades of addiction,
knowing that he's going to die
side,
doing it.
Yeah, like he's 100% dead. Like there's no chance. Like he knows for sure. Like if I do this, I'm toast. And he just says, you know what? Like I don't want the last thing on earth, on like of my living being to be watching my son die. Like I just can't do it. Like of everything that I have done in my life, and he's done some heinous shit. Like he could not bring himself to just stand by idly as his son was executed.
Yeah, it's just like everyone knows I'm in love with the throne room scene. I'm in love with Return of the Jedi. But if you really think about it, where this scene, I think, hits levels of perfection is when Luke is hiding and Vader starts the taunting, and Vader does figure it out, and he uses a line like, well, Obi-Wan has failed you again. Because now I know. Now I know the secret. There is another Skywalker. So fuck you. If you're not going to come, I'll just go get her. And then the way the music ramps up, like the choir's in there, and just seeing Luke kind of not be Luke, not the cool, calm, collected, like literally just, whoa, no! I mean, just, he becomes Anakin almost. Yeah. And just, you know, Vader had no chance. Like he had no chance after he said that line. I mean, he was kind of winning the fight up until then. Yeah, but that moment, that's really, at least me, that's when I start getting the goosebumps, maybe the tear ducts. It's a combination of the music, Hamill's performance, and then just what happens to Vader. That's why I love this movie. It's as good as it gets when it comes to Vader and Luke.
Yeah, 100%.
So, 100%. Big surprise here. Next moment, the death of Vader. This is a heavy one. I mean, even to this day, I get sad, and I've probably seen this 500 times. But it's a beautiful moment. It's a beautiful moment. It's beautiful. It's sad, and it's sad for Luke. It's sad for Vader. It's happy for Anakin. Sad for Anakin. It's just a great moment. I mean, Vader just did his thing. Anakin is back. He's still in the armor though, and his dying wish is literally just to see his son for the first time with his own eyes, right? And, the line is, Luke, help me take this mask off. And Luke's like, but you'll die. There's no stopping that now. Just for once, let me look at you with my own eyes. And when it comes off and we have Anakin again, then you get the, you were right, Luke. Tell your sister you were right. And that is Star Wars right there. Yeah. That is the Skywalker saga right fucking there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful moment to take in. Like, you literally see the death of Darth Vader first, and then you see the death of Anakin Skywalker right after. Like, the death of Darth Vader.
Before you say it, do you consider the death of Vader when he removes the mask? Is that the last, vestiges of Vader?
Yeah, I think that you could make an argument that the death of Vader is when he picks up the Emperor and throws him. But I really do think that the moment of Vader's true death is when that mask comes off voluntarily, right? Because the only time that you've ever seen him without his mask on was you see the back of his head in the meditation chamber. But this time, knowing, he's saying, you know what, this, if I'm not going to die as Darth Vader, I will die as Anakin Skywalker.
100%.
So when that mask comes off and you see the charred remains and you see honestly, there's a light in his eye, when he, and that small smile that creeps across his face when he lays his eyes on Luke for the first time. It's a touching moment, and it's the only moment that Luke has truly between father and son. Like a moment that Leia never got, like a moment that Leia has never and will never experience. But that little smile that he has when he looks at Luke and just knowing that his final breaths will be taken in like taking in the visage of his son. Yeah, I mean, it's powerful, and it's it's one of those.
It's as emotional as I think Star Wars can get, really, to be honest with you. I mean, like I said, I've got my own issues with my dad, and it definitely plays into this. I'm sure you heard my voice getting a little cracky there just reading the line. It's tough, because I look at that. Like, I've always wanted to make my dad a good guy, and I failed. Unlike Luke, I didn't do it. So I'm just making sure I don't turn into a Darth Vader. So I guess I am Luke after all, but... the throne room to this, I've always had deeper connections than just what's on the screen. So spare my emotions, people. I am an enlightened male. I'm a real man, as they say, because I can show my emotions now. So fuck you, alphas.
Strong stuff. All right. Strong stuff.
I'm what do they call us now? Soylent or a beta?
I don't know. It isn't Soylent. That's the movie, right? Soylent Green. That's the.
I know they call people that kind of are okay with what is considered woke. You're like a soy boy or something like that. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know anymore, man.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, B-Mad. Like, I agree with you. Listening to you guys explain lines and scenes from a film that came out over 30 years ago, how does this channel not have 100,000 subs? Because the YouTube algorithm, as many channels tried to point out last week, is designed to reward the hate grifters. And that was the point that they were trying to make before Theory got in there and made it all about himself and exposed people's private communications, because that's who he is. But yeah, thank you, B-Mad. Trust me, there's no one on this planet that thinks we should have a bigger channel than myself. So don't worry, I'm with you. All right, next up, but we are literally hated. We were just talking about, like, because we're not in a show season now, a lot of our clips we're putting out that they get seen by like 10 people. No joke. I put out like a Newt Gunray clip. 2 views on YouTube.
Yeah, I would say the Newt one was rough. But
thanks, YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. Yeah. Hey, you don't even let the people decide, YouTube. Like, if you stop it at 2, you don't even let the people decide. Yeah. Like, just like, oh, it's from Star Wars time. Oh, Matt put this one out.
We have 2,000 subs and we only get 2 views. Come on.
That's what I mean. Like, the people that follow the channel, they wanted to follow. They don't even see the content. So,
and it's only a 40-second clip, so it's not like it's a long video.
Well, yeah. Hey, listen to Divided. I mean, this is our story. I listened first on Spotify, and it was hard to find this channel on YouTube, and I was specifically searching for it.
And the funny thing is like Star Wars, like our YouTube channel is super active. Like, we post on it every day. And there's another one that is also called Star Wars Time that hasn't posted in like years, but that like gets listed the same as ours does. Oh my God.
It's just, hey man, whatever. This is the SWTS for you. If you've been around, you get it. We are not loved by the algorithms. Yeah. Hey, if people find us, it's also kind of hit or miss, man. Like I said, we've lost a member and a few subs since last week, so who knows? Easy, just make Star Wars Theory hate you and you'll be set. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could poke that bear.
Dude, all he's got to do is listen to our show, and then if he talks shit on us, I'm sure that we would get at least 1,000 more subs.
According to him, Nick, he pays his Patreons to become Patreons of Star Wars Explained so they can spy on them and report back to him.
Like his level of insecurity. This is where
we're at with Star Wars Theory, the largest Star Wars YouTube channel on the planet.
It's absolutely crazy.
Hey man, people love that hate. If it ain't white, it ain't good. And I know they get upset at that. And it's like, well, just listen to your critique, because that's what you're saying. You're not critiquing. You're saying the other stuff. All right, back to the fun stuff here. Next moment, we've now moved into Rogue One, and I'm just saying Vader's Scarif, everything. Yes, we all go right to the hallway scene because that's the flashy, neat looking stuff. It was epic. It's the most brutal we've ever seen Vader in live action, and I contend that's why we need more of it. But if you think about it, everything he does at Scarif is Vader, like peak Vader. The fact that he times his jump out of hyperspace so he can prevent he essentially creates an escape wall with Star Destroyers for the Rebel fleet to just jump themselves into and explode. That's fucking boss.
Yeah.
He immediately takes down the Raddus. No problem. And then he gets in this shuttle, gets into the, I think he did go to the Radis after he took it out, gets in there, gets into the belly of the Tantive, and they're scrambling. He's in the hallway. He's just going through there again, casually, like it's a Sunday walk, twirling the lightsaber, cutting people in half, force choking them, taking their guns, slamming them to the roof, stabbing them through doors. And then as they get away, instead of getting all upset and throwing a temper tantrum, he just kind of sits there and poses like a badass. He's like, well,
yeah,
okay, our ship's probably faster. We'll catch up.
Yeah, it's like, I guess we'll just keep going. Like, it is like that. I mean, like, that's what really, like, the ethos of Vader is a person that is unbothered by all of the destruction that he rains upon people.
His own forces included.
Yeah, his own forces included. He's like, what? Well, I had to kill that guy, so I guess, fuck him. It's like, who do we promote? Who's next in line? Bring that guy up. But yeah, it's just like the way that he dispatches people in such a nonchalant and like effortless way, but also in such a vicious way, is why he became the villain that he did in terms of like pop cultural impact.
Yeah, dude, just think about the one rebel that survived this hallway scene. I mean, the dude probably has to go into hardcore therapy, and all he's doing is like, oh man, Vader in a hallway, Vader in a hallway. Dude, don't ever get in a hallway with Vader. Fuck! He's like has Tourette's and shit.
He can never, like, that guy can just never be in a hallway again. Like, he just has to walk through
lights
open
on
rooms.
At all time, and they can't be read.
Like never. But yeah, I mean, like, it's the moment, like this moment in particular was the moment that we always really asked for, right? When Star Wars was brought back, it was like, give us that absolutely destructive Vader.
Give us comic book Vader. I mean, Nick, Scarif Vader is the closest we'll ever get, or we have gotten, to Vader acting like we've seen him in the comics. I mean, from the arrival of his fleet to the hallway, that's what he does. He destroys rebels.
Yeah, and like to see him do it so just like uncaring. Like he walks into this fucking hallway and he's like, "Look, I have to like." It's
stands there for a little bit, like just kind of hangs out.
Yeah, and it's almost like how you kind of walk through a grocery aisle that's like super packed, where you're like, look, I'm just trying to get through, okay? I'm just trying to, and that's what he's doing. He's like, I just got to get to the other end of the hallway, and you're all in my way, so I'm just gonna fucking kill all of you. The fastest way for me to get there is just to kill all of you as quickly as I can. So that's what I'm gonna do.
You are right. I mean, I think if the rebels were just like, you know what, we don't get paid enough for this shit, and they just ran, he'd be like, all right.
He's like, fine.
I ain't got no ill will towards you people. I just need that damn disc.
Yeah, it's like the door's right there. I'm trying to get to the door, and if you're gonna be in my way, then I'm gonna move you out of my way.
Oh, excuse me. Walk. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Ping off the roof. I like that. Like Nick's saying, hey, you're just trying to get to the door, guys. Just make some room. Yeah. Don't be so rude.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Let the big guy through. I mean, he is damn near 7 foot.
Yeah. So okay, like Divided brings up.
Don't worry, Divided.
Scene. We're getting there.
You're right on time, actually. So we'll bring up your comment and we will shift into Kenobi, because that's exactly where we were headed. You are a wise one, young Skywalker. We will monitor your career with great interest. But yeah, Vader terrorizes Kenobi on Mapuzo in particular. Nick and I, we had 3 Kenobi moments. We settled on this one and the last one we're going to have for our list. But this one is about as evil Vader as it gets, right? I mean, he starts by going through the town of Mapuzo and just randomly killing people. Literally drags a guy out of his window and snaps his neck. Drags a guy with him as he's walking towards Kenobi's location, then snaps his neck. And then once Kenobi kind of is like, okay, I got to at least draw his attention, all he does is it plays cat and mouse. He's the cat. Kenobi is the most tiniest of mice. And he's just like beating the shit out of him. Kenobi has no offense. It's all defense. And it's literally taking everything he has to stop Vader from just chopping him in half. And you know what? That's the best part. And that's why this scene is so great and so Vader. He didn't want to kill him easy. He wanted to torture him like he was tortured. He then lights that fire and literally slowly drags Ben through with the Force.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for Ned, Obi-Wan may have very well needed some armor himself by the end of this encounter. Vader then just snapped his neck.
Yeah. I mean, we had the conversation between this one and the final scene. But I was like, really, this is Vader's scene. Like, this is the one where Vader's like, Obi-Wan's here?
Yeah.
Good. Let me show him. Like, let me take out the years of mental torture that I've been putting myself through because of what he did to me on all of these people.
And he was really also kind of juicing himself, right? Like, the more fear and hate he had flowing through him, the stronger he was going to be.
Yeah, and like he's really showing everybody the terror that he's become because of Obi-Wan. And I think that Obi-Wan realized that and that made him so much weaker. He's like, these people are being tortured and killed because of what I did.
100%.
And these people like and that's what like forces him to come out. He's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't just let these people die because my mere presence. And I feel like this is Vader's, like, this is the top moment for him. This may be like, up to this point, this is the high point of Vader's life. Like he comes out and it's truly the boogeyman. And then
everyone's scared of him. You can even the Inquisitors are like, hey man, get the fuck out of the way.
They see the mood that he's in.
Doing his thing. Yeah.
And like to be able to literally take your master and drag them the way that he does,
them.
Like just the adrenaline and the sense of accomplishment as Vader that he must feel in that moment has to be as high as it ever was.
Well, you're right, Nick.
Like,
he was basking in his glory so much so that when Ned took him away, he didn't even flinch. He's like, hey, I was kind of having fun. You know what? Let's do that again. I'm kind of glad they kept him alive.
Yeah. I mean, it's brutal. It's disturbing. It's like, it's so many things that like when you watch Darth Vader in the original trilogy, you knew he was, but like they just didn't have the ability to show the physicality of it at that point in time. And it's all of that come to life in a very visceral way. And it's like the fire dragging is the biggest thing to me, because it was really like, let me show you what you did. Let me give you a little taste of what you did to me.
Yeah, because remember, the fire didn't exist. He started the fire. He made sure that there was fire.
Yeah, and it was like, oh God, like watching that was just like, it was so enrapturing, but it was also like so hard to watch because you're like, holy shit, like he's really just like torturing this dude. Like he's just straight up like we're seeing somebody being tortured in real time on the screen right now. Like it's disturbing. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, Obi had no chance. Like he had no chance. He was still a shell of himself. He could barely tap into the Force. And if it wasn't for Vader taking pleasure in the torture, he probably would have been snuffed out quite easily.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay,
100%.
And the last moment here, another one from Kenobi, and another one, like, listen, the final duel is pretty rad. The moment where he claims Anakin is dead, very memorable, but we kind of justified why it's not in here. But this moment is, because this, again, is just, this shows Vader's power and his rage. And we're talking about when he's on Jabim, and he's trying to stop the hidden path from escaping. And we see them take off in a big-ass shuttle, and he's like, not so fast. One arms it. Literally one arms a shuttle, rips it right down, and then rips it open like a tin can. And then we see the actual shuttle take off, and then it continues into his systematic takedown of Reva. You know, she comes up on him thinking she's got the upper hand. He's engaged, thinking about Kenobi and being foiled, but he barely even has to try, and he takes her down in a very, very meticulous and almost taunting fashion.
Yeah, I mean, this was literally like Force Unleashed level 100%. of like beat down and just like raw power. And it's the first time that we've really ever seen that in live action. Like even like including like some of the stuff that we saw in the sequel trilogy and including some of the stuff that we saw in the prequels and everything else. Like the display of power in this particular
It's like
scene,
unhinged power too.
yeah, and it was like he's uncaring, unhinged, just like absolute raw dark side force that like we've never seen before, and like and like you're saying, just like literally taking this person who up to this point was like a formidable foe towards Kenobi and like had been like one of the more like in my opinion like one of the more competent inquisitors that we had seen, like, and just like absolutely just throws them aside.
I love that. I mean, he cuts her spinny blade in half, takes it, and he dual wields for a little bit. Then he just is like using the force to block her moves.
Yeah. And it's like what he's saying to her in this moment is like, you feel like you're powerful, but all the power that you have, right, I gave you. Yeah, like I designed this blade. Like this blade that you have that spins that you think is so cool, I designed this. Like this ain't nothing. I made it. I know how to fight against it. Like your armor set, like look at what you're wearing and look at what I'm wearing. Like you're wearing a replica of my suit. Like you're barely worth the time that it's taking me to talk to you while I'm beating you down. Like it's just like it's like watching a child fight an adult. It's like disturbing, but it encapsulates everything that Darth Vader is, a vicious shell of a human that is driven purely by hate and destruction.
Yeah.
And like it's just next level type.
Oh, look at this. We're convincing Sir Dork to take Kenobi for another spin. I will tell everyone, I do my saga rewatch every holiday season because I get 4 weeks off. Yay. Mm-hmm. But this last go round, I did feel the need to include Kenobi because I think it does add some very nice layers to the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, like Bat's saying, I mean, for the Vader stuff alone, it's kind of worth it. I mean, don't feel bad if you find yourself maybe skipping through some of the scenes or whatnot, but kind of get some of these Vader moments and just how they shape the character and kind of give a bit more exposition going into A New Hope and beyond. It is worth it. All right, Nick. So we made it to the end, just like we did for the quotes. Out of these 10, if you had to choose your favorite, what is your favorite Vader moment?
I mean, I do, for me, I do think it's that conversation in the elevator. It's the conversation in the elevator because
Luke turned himself in on Endor. All right.
Yeah. Like the Endor elevator conversation, talking to Luke, because that moment to me really encapsulates Vader's entire life, right? Like the start of the conversation is very much still focused on like I'm not Anakin Skywalker. I'm Darth Vader. I'm taking your saber. I'm taking you to my master. You'll see what's going to happen now. Like
you'll find out.
Yeah, like he's still Vader. And by the end of that conversation and Luke's unending optimism and the way that he is just little by little chipping away at that exterior and like finally at the end gets to Anakin Skywalker in that like you said, like there's no hope for me left. Like to see those layers unfold just from conversation. And like not like they're not fighting. They're not like there's nothing that is like an external force on Vader that's like forcing these emotions out of him. It's just conversation with his son and like how that breaks him down to his core. And here's the thing that I really believe. I think that if that conversation doesn't happen and we don't get to the end where Anakin really starts to peak out and he tells Luke like, I can't do it. Even though I want to do it, I just can't. I don't think that he saves Luke at the end. I think if that's a silent elevator ride,
yeah,
I think that it's over for Luke.
Well, yeah, because Vader, he's like, well, hey, if we can't get this guy to go to the dark side, what's the use of keeping him? So fuck him. I don't care if he's my son or not. He ain't reaching out to me. He's not trying to help me. Fuck this kid. All right, yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm going to be in Return of the Jedi for sure. I mean, I just waxed poetic about it, 10, 15 minutes ago. And not even that long. We had multiple scenes. I could really pick any three we talked about. The one you had, I'm not going to take it since you took it. So that leaves me with the throne room save or the death. And I think deep down, it's probably the throne room save. Yeah, and, from the moment Luke screams no to the moment he screams no. And that's what I'd say. I would put an asterisk next to it, though, and say pre-Blu-ray edition throne room battle.
Yes.
All right.
I agree.
Well, there you go. I hope everyone had fun going through that. We did this in honor of the passing of James Earl Jones and his turn as Darth Vader's voice. We went over 5 of the more iconic quotes, and then we covered 10 of Vader's most memorable scenes. If you had them on your list or your bingo board, hopefully you had bingo. But it is time to move our asses into this week's fan segment. That's right, people. We do it every week at the end of the show and kind of at the beginning, so you can ask us some personal questions. But our true fan segment always closes out the show. And you have 2 ways to get involved. The first way is the question of the week. That now goes up on Instagram, Discord, YouTube, Twitter, and I think that's everything. That's all you really need. So you just got to find it, reply to it, and a good chance you will have your comment read, maybe ridiculed or applauded. Mm-hmm. You never know. You just have to participate. So let's go ahead and get into the question of the week. As we typically like to do with the question of the week, we kind of want to theme it around our main topic. So we ask, what is your favorite Darth Vader moment or quote? All right, Nick, go. First up, coming from good old Johnny Osage.
That's right. Johnny's first. He says, hello, SWTS. I find your lack of faith disturbing. It was the first demonstration of the power of the Force. What kid in 1977 didn't try the classic Vader choke on not only the men, but the women and children that troubled us? Long live Vader and rest in peace, James Earl Jones.
Johnny, like if we had awards for question of the week or ask us anything, you're definitely up there, pal. He's
always up there. He's always up there. That's right. Scion XTC says from 2 movies, but essentially the same scene, the hallway scene from Rogue One and seeing him for the first time at the beginning of A New Hope.
100.
And it just, the lesson there is, if you're ever in a hallway with Darth Vader, just get the fuck out as fast as possible.
Yeah, get out of his
way. just cower in fear and surrender or run away as fast as
Definitely
you can.
Don't
Hallways
point a weapon
Vader,
at him.
Do not. You will die. Good stuff there from Scion. League of Extraordinary Sixthers. She says, in ROTJ, Vader can sense Luke's feelings for a sister. Whether he knows it's Leia or not, that's up for debate. For the sake of this question, Vader realizing that Leia is the sister is the best and most emotional.
Oh, he knew.
He knew for sure. Yeah. Whatever prospects of a relationship to this sister, Leia, is ruined because he kidnapped, tortured, destroyed her home, and killed her parents in the process. I always wondered if that helped Vader turn back to the light of the Force in the end. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point of speculation. Like, he assuredly, once he realized that there was a twin Skywalker girl, that he immediately thought of
Luke fucked up. He was sitting there thinking about everything, and Vader read his damn mind. He's like, oh, you got a sister? Oh, it's her.
Yeah, 100%. So, and then, I mean, you think about, like, did he pull the trigger on Alderaan? Like, did he blow it up himself?
He didn't stop it, but that was Tarkin.
Yeah, I mean, he's complicit in it along with everything else that the Empire did. So, like,
and listen, if Tarkin said, "Hey, fuckhead, go down there and push the lever," he would have done it. So
yeah, he would have done it 100%. Mandalorian 35 says, all I see are dead men and fear.
And now this is a comic line, and it's classic. So it is that's the Vader we want more of in live action for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
He essentially, I think he's confronted by an entire battalion of rebels and just wipes them out in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, as he is known to do. Mando Pirate says, let me look at you with my own eyes. That scene made me cry when I was young.
We're always connected, brother. Our Twi'lek obsession, and now this scene. I got you.
There you go. He says, that scene always made me cry when I was young, and it still makes me cry to this day. It's the first time that Vader looked at Luke without his mask on, and it's just, and that's just emotional as that.
That's why my voice got a little weak, kind of replaying the scene in my mind, trying to tell it to all you. It hits me too, brother. Don't worry about it. It's good for us.
Yeah, that's right. Live it, accept and live in those
Pour
feelings.
it out. Let those tears flow.
Next up, Toy at Heart says, it's too late for me now. I use that gift for a multitude of things. It's also a poignant line from an iconic villain. I mean, it's great to see that there's a lot of these, like, the more emotional lines from Vader. Like we had talked about before, like, Vader does not speak with emotion often.
But it is fun. Like, a lot of the fans are gravitating towards more of his emotional stuff versus more of his taunting or shit-talking stuff.
And it goes to show you that, like, even in the original trilogy, even from one of the most feared villains of all time, like, the stuff that really stands out is, like,
he can make you sad for him.
Yeah, like when the vulnerability comes out, and for like the people out there who are, like, scared, like, struggling with, like, how to accept their emotions, and, like, struggling with, like, like, aspects of themselves that they find hard to I guess you would say, like, cope with, like, just like these lines from Vader are exactly that, like him coping with the things that he's done. Like, it's too late for me now is literally his admission of guilt for everything that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he looks at his son and he's like,
I'm a piece of shit,
for me
bro.
now.
Yeah, like I'm a piece of shit.
Look at my body of work. My body of work is fear in dead men, like the last quote said. Like, and he's not
nice
like,
callback, young Nick.
But he's not proud of it.
Yeah.
Like, of everything that he's done in his life.
Tons
he's
of shame.
in this elevator.
Tons of shame.
Yeah, like,
we need the bell.
At the moment.
Shame.
And
ding,
he
ding, ding.
he like can't look at his son. Can't do it. Next up, Jeff DJ says, love the dialogue between him and Luke on the indoor platform walkway in ROTJ. I mean, it's, again, like, it's the vulnerability of a person that you never thought could be.
It's easy to resonate with, right? Because, I mean, I don't know about you people, but one of the things I have to work on is I do think I'm a bad person. I do think I deserve shitty stuff. I can't, I'm slowly understanding why and trying to get over it, but it's tough, man. I can relate to Vader. Yeah, I didn't kill hundreds of thousands of people, but I know what it feels like to think that you suck.
Yeah, it's like nobody is perfect, and nobody is, like, there are very few people in this existence that actually live up to the deeds that Darth Vader did. But, like, everybody has stuff that they don't like about themselves, and everybody has regrets, and everybody has moments in their life that they look back on and they feel bad about. And it's like, and you look at, and that's what's happening with Vader. Like, you look at Vader during those moments, and it's like he's looking back on his life, and he's realizing that the things that he did, and he's coming to terms with those things. And it
done
really
fucked
does.
up, my boy. There's no hope for me.
That's right. So next up, Divided Skywalker. She says, "I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further."
We had that one there. We had it.
That was another good one. Yeah, I mean, like, that's back to Bespin. Like,
we bumped it for no disintegrations. Divided.
Yeah,
sorry.
That one was super close. Like, that one was super close. But yeah, that's another good line. And it's also the line that's like, look, you think this is, like, it's him showing that, like, you think it's bad now, it can get worse.
Exactly.
Like,
he's like, Lando, do you really want to test me?
Yeah, it's like, we can, like, you can do this.
Yeah.
But I'm warning you right now that if you try to do this,
I'll take the whole operation over, or I'll just blast this thing right out of the fucking sky.
Yeah.
So
it can only get worse.
Sit down and shut up.
That's right. And then Lee comes in and says that she just watched this in honor of him. So there we go.
And that's it, right? Is there any more?
And that is it. That is the end of our questions to fans. Thank you all for the responses on all of our different social media outlets, Twitter, Instagram. our Discord.
Keep them up. Find new blood.
Make sure.
Let's go.
Yes, indeed. So now we are moving into the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved in this segment, make sure you tag at Star Wars Time Show or at StarWarsTime.show on all of your Instagram Star Wars art posts. That's how you fall into our tagged feed, and that's where I pull all of the top 5s from. So to kick things off this week, we have Photo to Toys, and it's Vader himself. It is just a nice portrait shot of Vader. Some excellent atmospheric work here to capture the diffusion of light from his lightsaber, and it is Vader in his element.
Yeah, man. I mean, that looks like some atmosphere aerosol to me. Maybe it's a steam gun like I used, but it is. Atmosphere and toy photography, they go hand in hand. I think it's a must. If you're not bringing in atmosphere, you got to be bringing in some like what are they called? Jared's explosions, particles through like machines. Sand or dirt. But yeah, I love this. I love the lighting, how that saber just pops, and like you said, how the smoke kind of accentuates everything. So good one here from Photo. Number 2, Toys, all one word.
There we go. Next
Boozy.
Up, we have
Boozy's got a great fucking handle.
Boozy Manchild.
I want to change my name to Boozy Manchild.
Just legally change it. Yeah, that's oh man. So yeah, I mean, Boozy Manchild hits us with an amazing trooper shot here. So you have a trooper with their light machine gun weapon running through a field. The weathering job on this trooper is fantastic. Just shows you how much this guy's been through in the field of battle. You got some good bokeh going on the right side of the frame, showing explosions that this guy's running through. Man, what a rough life to be a stormtrooper, right? Just never a moment of respite.
I mean, they're the shitheads of the Empire, that's for sure. But what I love about Boozy has a very iconic style. Boozy gets this, I don't even want to call them flares. He just makes his fucking figures and his photos shine, like literally shine. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's a luster almost. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And I dig it. Like I dig it. I mean, I love, Jared has a style. I have a style. Tones has a style. Anyone that does it, if you're someone like me that looks at this shit or has looked at this stuff essentially since 2015, 16, you can start, there's Boozy, there's a Matt, there's a Tones, there's a 1/6 shooter, so on and so forth. But Boozy, they've really kind of cornered the market on that flare, that shine.
Yeah. It looks good. At Boozy Man Child on Instagram. Perfect. Make sure to follow.
Oh, here's my boy.
Yeah. Next up, we got another one for Vader. So this is JZHZ 6669, and it's a scene recreation shot. But I think what's incredible about this, it's a scene recreation shot that I think JZ made in a 3D modeling software. Like he made the background for this in a 3D modeling software. Yeah, it's like this. I
don't think this happened in the show because by the time his mask is cracked, he's pretty much cooked. But who gives a shit? I mean, it's the Broken Mask Hot Toys Vader, which is a fine ass collectible if you can get your hands on it. But yeah, like you said, the composite work here is fucking titties.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So yeah, Vader, cracked mask, lightsaber ignited, lifting the stones from the ground, the fire around him.
Yeah, it is all composite, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like Vader in his element. Like it's in his most hateful form. It's in, you could argue, like one of the most powerful forms that we've seen him in to date. It really is like the epitome of Vader as a villain.
It also shows that Vader loved a very large cod piece for his armor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, look at that thing, dude.
Yeah.
He's essentially saying that his penis goes down to his knee. Almost.
I mean, when they were making the suit, he's like, "Hey, just make sure people know."
Look at that. Yeah, like, hey, you know what? he has Deadpool's tailor from Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, make sure. He's like, yeah, I know that I may not have. I have one limb left.
Like, hey, Vader, you want that? You're right. Yeah, I've got one limb left intact that people don't know about. Only Padme has seen.
Just make sure.
She always called it my baby arm.
It's like, I may not have arms or legs.
Yes.
But honor what I have.
I still have this thing. This thing did not melt off, so make sure that cod piece is XXL.
That's right.
I love it.
Right.
Sorry, Jay-Z, but your shot is amazing. We're just a little weird. JZHZ6669 on Instagram. Definitely worth a follow.
Good stuff. Next up, 97 Parsecs Photography. 97 like Robert Day, like he is, he's like
top
something
tier.
To aspire to.
Top tier,
sure,
100% top tier.
Indeed. And he hits us with this awesome. I always love the mashups between the alien, like the actual alien universe and Star Wars
they're
universe.
Connected,
and like
thanks to the comics.
Yeah. The real life connection exists. But this one here is a xenomorph that is fully encapsulated and still alive in a bacta tank that is being actively watched over by Grand Admiral Thrawn and
it's exactly who I would think
employ.
from the Empire would be trying to figure out xenomorphs.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's like, everybody else would be like, we have to kill these things fast and get the fuck out.
He's got a side contract with Wayland Yutani.
Yeah, he's just like, I'll capture him and send him to you, but I have to do my own experimentation first. But yeah, I mean, this is classic Thrawn, like an absolute narcissist when it comes to like truly like understanding the ins and outs of every species in order to better understand them to defeat them, because that's what Thrawn's doing right now. Is like, you are a threat to our galaxy, so I have to understand you to truly know how I can defeat you. Oh,
you're the perfect specimen. You're literally the perfect organism. You can barely be killed. It's almost impossible. Yeah, I'm interested. And the shot kind of shows that, as Nick's saying. Every stormtrooper is at the ready to shoot. Like they have their guns drawn, they're braced. Thrawn, arms behind his back, very, astute looking, just taking it all in. It all in.
This is no big deal. So, excellent stuff here, from the posing to the dio to the lighting, from 97 Parsecs Photography, 97_Parsecs_photography on Instagram.
Boom.
And to close out this week, we have, I know how much Matt loves Mace Windu.
Top tier, man. S tier.
But this shot here, this is an incredible shot of Mace and Yoda just ripping Grievous apart. Like,
this is like alt universe.
Yeah, this is alternate universe for sure. I know that at the end of the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, that like you see Grievous like running to a ship, and Mace is the one that like force grabs his chest and crushes it.
And that's why I don't know why whoever, Disney or George, was like, Genedies don't count anymore, because they did. Like, George literally made the Clone Wars micro series to fill in the gap between AOTC and ROTJ or ROTS.
Yeah, like he made, and that's why Vader that's why Grievous talks the way that he does. Like, because of this scene, like, well, not this scene, but like the scene where Mace crushes his
literally
chest.
As like he's pulling out, Mace is able to crush like his vocal box.
Yeah. So this is from, by the way, this is from Visual Horizon Toy Photo. And Visual Horizon, he does a great job of just
Look, like Yoda. He's like half naked. He's not even wearing his robe. He's just in his he's just in his straight tunic.
He's just got his tunic on. He's fully upside down doing a flip over Grievous. Like fully chops one of his arms off. Mace has him put like
he is doing it. You did kind of nail it. He is choking his chest out. So
he's crushing his chest box, and really just like, I guess this is showing what would have happened if two competent Jedi Masters would have taken on Grievous. Yeah. They would have just summarily dismissed him with no issue. But yeah, this is a badass shot here from Visual Horizon Toy Photo, just showing the badassness of both Mace Windu and Yoda in a fight against Grievous. So hey, that is the end of the top 5, and that is the end of our show this week. R.I.P. Rest in peace to James Earl Jones, a true legend of both Star Wars and cinematic history. Do a little homework this week, everybody. It doesn't even have to be Star Wars. Go watch Lion King. Go watch something with James Earl Jones in it, and truly appreciate the work that this man has done for cinema.
That's a good call to action.
And really take some time to appreciate James.
I like that, Nick. And if I didn't have to deal with what I'm going to have to deal with, I'd probably be thrown on Field of Dreams, because I don't think I've seen that since I had a real brain. I think I watched that still when I was a kid and probably didn't appreciate what it was really doing. But I like that. I like that charge. And you know what? It was a fun show here. Thanks, Bat. Thanks, Divided. Sir Dork, Mando, League, Johnny, B-Mad, of course. We had Connor from Beyond the Dunes C in there earlier, Nova Toymation. We always appreciate you. I know I saw Ben was in here, Kramer. Mm-hmm. All the regular heroes that populate our live stream chat. So don't forget, if you've only been listening on the podcast and you want to make the crossover, kind of like Divided has done recently, give it a try. Wednesday nights, usually around 5 p. East, or as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Or, as we always say, when we're trying to get everyone to stump for us, or, have a little confidence in your bros, just tell them, hey, StarWarsTime.net. All right. If you only want to remember one URL or one piece of information about these two idiots, StarWarsTime.net. That's all you need to know. There might not be as much content out there throughout the week as we used to, but it's still our home base on the internet. It's the easiest way to get linked in with the show on the podcast platforms. We have that handy dandy subscribe to podcast button. We also have our YouTube auto subscribe down there on the right sidebar. So there's always time for Star Wars Time, my friends. I know you know it if you're listening. Hopefully you stick around and keep bringing people into the flock of the SWTS. We speak everyone's names. We love y'all. We try to stay positive, obviously, with an explicit tint. You're never going to get a peaches and creams type of episode over here. You're never going to get a clean episode. But we typically do still like to celebrate Star Wars and mostly be positive about it, while sometimes calling out the shitheads. All right? StarWarsTime.net, don't forget it. Also, don't forget that there is always time for Star Wars Time, and Bat is not wrong. If you're in a state that is down, tap into what Space Jesus gave us, right? If it grows out of the earth, can it really be that bad? Can it? Because booze doesn't, my friends. That's a chemical reaction. All right, people, we love you. Remember, if you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.